friends, we gather here today to mourn the passing of Alpha Man, Earth's mightiest hero, who was tragically slain last week by his archenemy, Rex Ruthless.
Pretty impressive turnout for a sixth funeral. I hope this goes quicker than the last 5. I've got a date later with Limber Lass. You want to know why they call her that? Limber Lass?
Would you please show some respect? I was his sidekick, and now he's gone forever.
Gone forever, sure. Anyway, it's because of the way she can bend her...
Alpha Man seemed invincible. We all remember when it looked like he had been killed while saving us from that supernova. Or when he died defending the Earth from laser tigers. Or that time he fell into that open sewer grate and contracted sentient hepatitis. Each time, no matter how certain his demise, Alpha Man was back a few weeks later, the status quo miraculously restored.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rollin' 20s. We are the show that found out a former Power Ranger is going up on charges of murder. Looks like Rita Repulsa's at it again. I am Jeremy.
Steve. Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The music you heard at the beginning of the show is by Machine Supremacy. You can find more of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard is by College Humor. It's called Realistic Superhero Funeral. You can find more of their videos under their YouTube channel, College Humor. How goes it?
Pretty good.
I'm doing my best to keep the energy up, and all I get is, yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Sorry, I just woke up. I'm on nights now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm kind of wondering if the Grim Reaper's, working overtime right now, because he's taking a lot of people already.
He's not working overtime, but he's definitely working by the body. I think he gets a commission because there has been a few notable deaths in 2016, and it's only been 2 weeks. We lost Lemmy Klimster almost as soon as the year kicked over. The lead singer of Motorhead. We lost the guy who played Robin Hood in the Disney animated Robin Hood movie from the 80s.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Let's see. We also lost, who the hell was it last week?
David Bowie.
Yes, lost David Bowie. That broke my wife's heart to no end. And that was one of those weird things where you just kind of sit there and go, really? He could die? I didn't think that could happen.
At least until he was in the Labyrinth 2, damn it.
Yeah. And then there was, just in the last couple of days, Alan Rickman died.
Yep.
And all three of those really famous guys, Rickman, Klimster, and Bowie, all died of cancer.
Yep.
It's really freaky. And, Alan Rickman was, I don't want to say it was hard for me to take, but it was disappointing. I didn't realize I had seen him from the point where he started in movies all the way through to the end of his career.
Hard to imagine, actually.
He was a stage actor in England while the casting director for Die Hard was just trying to figure out what to do about their main villain, and then he saw him on stage and said, I want that guy. They hired a guy who was
a villain? Holy crap.
Yeah, he was the
Alan
bad
Rickman,
guy in Die Hard.
He was the villain in Die Hard. He really wasn't looking for it, and they were looking at the time for somebody much younger than him, but the casting director just fell in awe of him watching him on the stage, so they contacted him and got him into his first movie. And because of all the stories coming out after Rickman's death, there's a really interesting story about one of the most infamous scenes in all of Die Hard. Do you remember towards the end of the movie, Alan Rickman's character, Hans Gruber, was shot through the chest. He fell through a window. He's got like a death grip on the lady playing Bruce Willis's wife and a watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's slowly pointing his gun as they're trying to get the watch off. They unhook the watch, and he falls to his death with this astonished expression on his face, right?
Yeah.
The story behind that is the director of the film, John McTiernan, convinced Alan Rickman that to get a realistic shot, they were going to dangle him outside a fake window over an airbag from 25 feet above, and he was going to fall backwards into it. And Rickman agreed, which is really kind of psychotic when you think about a guy in his late 30s, early 40s just going, yeah, I'll do that for my first time. Sure, why not? So McTiernan told him, we're going to count to 3 and we're going to drop you and you're going to look scared, right? And he says, yeah, okay. So McTiernan confirmed the plan with the stunt team who was in charge of dropping him. So they started filming the scene and they started the count. They said 1 and dropped him.
I knew that was going to happen.
So that look of astonishment and horror on his face as he's falling away from the camera is utterly true.
Oh,
It's genuine.
that's a new form of method acting right there.
That's not method acting if you have to clean up his shorts after you take him off the stunt bag.
Well, it's not actually acting on his part.
I'm sure as he was falling away, he's thinking out loud, Avada Kedavra. But it is sad, though, that we're losing a bunch of actors that are literally of our generation at this point.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. The invincibility is over. It was even sadder when I found out that David Bowie was being considered for a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy.
They may still do it, given how the CG technology could
They haven't
do
even
it.
started filming yet, so likelihood is they're just going to recast it if they still go forward with whatever he was supposed to be. Because apparently the conversation on that was only just beginning. He had not even alluded that there was a problem. He just kept putting off the talks for reasons that weren't very clear at the time. So it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of people have noticed that we haven't heard from V since our Thanksgiving break. Well, we haven't heard from her on the show. I've heard from her privately. And her work schedule has shifted all around, and she's still trying to adapt to it. So she's not sure when she can get back to the show. She desperately wants to do it from Conversations, and she still will be at Comic-Con from what I understand. But she's just not sure where the show fits into her life at the moment. So right now I'm talking to a couple individuals who may sub in for her while she's putting things back together however she sees fit. I don't think it means we'll never see her again. She seems to enjoy this way too much. I'm sure that's subjective to a bunch of people listening, but she seems to really like doing the show in general. In the meantime, the subject of the week are the first 4 issues of Invincible Iron Man. We'll get to that in a little bit. First off, we've got Marvel media news. We talk about the Marvel properties that end up on your TV screens, your movie screens, your computer screens, your video game screens, out in real life, action figures, everywhere but on a damn comic book page. And first up is Joe Russo, one of the Russo brothers, one half of the directing crew that worked on Captain America Civil War and is gearing up to start work soon on, Avengers Infinity War.
Oh, wow, already? Damn.
Yeah, there are reasons behind that. And the thing that is a spoiler is that during a recent panel, what's his name? Frank Grillo, the guy who played Crossbones in The Winter Soldier and is going to do it again in Civil War.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked him if he was going to recreate an infamous scene after Civil War concludes. The infamous scene is that Crossbones shoots Captain America and gets credit for killing him in the comic books. And Grillo admitted that he wanted to see his character shoot Captain America. That'd be great. All of a sudden, Joe Russo leans over and horns it on the mic and says, quote, "We may or may not have filmed that scene, though," unquote. Which is both the best and worst answer you could possibly give to that question.
Indeed.
Because we learned nothing other than it's crossed their minds. They weren't surprised by it. And we've seen what happens when the Russos take over comic book movies. Crazy stuff happens. So, oh, God. Love them, but I hate them. And, Jesse, when I said they're already starting work on Avengers Infinity War, Joe Russo also talked to comicbookmovie.com.
Yeah.
And he told them, quote, "We're breaking ground on Avengers Infinity War. We have a board with 67 characters on it. You'll have to forgive him," unquote.
67 characters.
67 characters.
Wow.
They are calling Avengers Infinity War the climactic finale to the first round of superhero madness and the culmination of 10 years worth of cinematic storytelling, which would be true. Infinity War comes out 10 years after the very first Marvel movie, Iron Man, comes out. However, 67 characters, I'm willing to bet money that you're not talking 67 Avengers.
I was thinking about half of them will be Avengers, maybe.
I don't even think half. 67 characters is a very broad field. I mean, there's still a chance that the Guardians of the Galaxy could be involved in this. It is a 2-movie set, after all.
Yeah.
Obviously Thanos is going to be involved at some point in this. But 67 characters? Oh, I have questions beyond questions. I really hope one of them is Aaron Taylor Johnson. The guy who played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah.
Because as sad as people were after the end of that movie, I just kept telling them I don't think he's gone. Everyone just said, "Are you crazy? They shot like 8 holes in him." Yeah, but Infinity War's coming where you're talking about a device that rewrites reality as the user sees fit. I mean, there's always a chance he could return at that point.
It rewrites reality, can pull people through time. It's just whatever. The thing is the ultimate retcon.
Yeah, you can basically use the Infinity Gauntlet to knock on the door of reality whenever you please, and reality has to answer. So I think a lot of things are possible. There is some motion on the Black Panther film. They hired a director. You guys familiar with the name Ryan Coogler?
No.
Guy named Ryan Coogler working on the Black Panther. There's a joke in there somewhere. But no, it turns out he's already a relatively accomplished director. He is the director who did the Creed movie, the one that's up for a couple Oscars.
Oh, okay.
So he was named in unconfirmed reports that they were talking to him. Just this last week, they confirmed he's the guy. He's the one doing the Black Panther film now.
Cool.
Kevin Feige talked about it. He said, quote, "We are fortunate to have such an esteemed filmmaker join the Marvel family. The talents Ryan showcased in his first 2 films easily made him our top choice to direct Black Panther. Many fans have waited a long time to see Black Panther in his own film, and with Ryan, we know we've found the perfect director to bring T'Challa's story to life," unquote. Movie comes out in 2 years, February 16th, 2018. Means work must start soon.
Yeah.
It turns out Cate Blanchett has a sense of humor.
Okay.
Last time we talked about her, we talked about the fact that she's being cast in some unknown role for Thor Ragnarok, right? There's been speculation she could be Hela, she could be the Enchantress, maybe Valkyrie. A couple other items have come up. According to Mark Ruffalo, he said, quote, "I'm so thrilled. I saw Cate Blanchett at the governor's banquet here and heard maybe she was circling. They were talking to her about the part. So I ran up to her and I was like, please, please, please make this work. She's just one of the best, and to have her play a baddie is going to be really exciting," unquote. And then
Obviously,
Blanchett...
someone's excited.
Oh, really? I mean, that's the Hulk talking anyway. Then Blanchett was on Jimmy Kimmel Live talking about the project, and she said, quote, "Chris Hemsworth is busy, so I've been working out," unquote. She was dodging the question as to whether or not she was female Thor.
Wow.
She said, quote, "They're just substituting one Australian for another. Gender equality. Why can't you have a female Thor?" unquote. I think she'd be awesome as that, but I'm not sure they're ready to do that quite yet.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I mean, if they bring forward the female Thor, power to them. That's been one of the most fun characters in comics lately. It's interesting to see someone with the viewpoint of somebody dying from cancer trying to be the goddess of thunder. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, though, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will be the first one to use a new camera type.
Really?
It's going to be shot on something called the 8K Red Weapon, which sounds like something the Winter Soldier would use in his next movie.
Or something Rocket would make.
Yeah, it shares several traits with previous 6K Red Dragon cameras, but it's a larger frame size and shoots at a resolution so crisp, almost no one will be able to see the image at its highest potential. That sounds frightening. It's so close to reality, it might as well be reality, so go watch it yourself, you bug. What the hell would you even do with something? Never mind, they're filming a movie. That's a stupid question.
Yeah.
Well, James Gunn has confirmed that they finished the script for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The final draft was just finished this past week. So it sounds like it's time to start gathering actors. James Gunn, the director, even tweeted a picture of it and said, "Coming to you presently, Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Michael Rooker, Sean Gunn, and Vin Diesel."
Here's some homework.
What? None's going to Bradley Cooper? He just has to come in and be cuddly? Oh, okay. In the comments, he said that Bradley Cooper and Karen Gillan would be returning to the sequel, but they're not listed due to them not being on Facebook. Nice. And also, in regards to Guardians of the Galaxy, there's one character that's almost confirmed to not be returning. Benicio del Toro apparently has not been spoken to about the sequel. He's the one who played the Collector in the first movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was asked about his participation in the sequel, and he said, quote, "I don't think so. They would have told me. I do hope to play that character again at some point," unquote. That would knock a big hole in the theory of Newsarama. They think that Peter Quill's father in the cinematic universe is the Collector. I thought that was too boring of an answer.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, I think if you're going to write an interesting mystery father, or if you're going to write a mystery father, you're going to make it something a little outlandish, and just him being the Collector, not enough. Especially since we saw what he does to his kids in the first movie. He locks them up when they don't shine things right. It's what happened, isn't it? Well, ABC and Marvel have greenlit a new pilot TV show. Marvel's Most Wanted is marching forward.
Marvel's Most Wanted?
Yep. Marvel's Most Wanted is the name they're giving the new spin-off show to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the one that's supposed to star Adriana Palicki and Nick Blood as Bobby Morse and Lance Hunter.
Oh.
There was rumors that they were working on this as of last season, but it was tanked for unknown reasons. Turns out they've thought about it, I guess, and they've decided, yes, okay, we'll do it. So get to see more of Adrian Palicki in skin-tight clothes swinging truncheons. Anybody have a problem with that? Because I'm totally cool with this.
I think someone's excited out there.
I think she's awesome, man. I'm still disappointed that Disney has no Marvel land was it being built. I mean, they're working on Star Wars land right now, but there's no Marvel properties out there. Still think that's a missed opportunity. Oh, a piece of news I got last week was absolutely wrong.
Oh?
Yeah, the release date for Daredevil Season 2, it is not March 20, I think it was 27th was what I said before.
Okay.
25th. I thought it was March 25th, the same weekend as WonderCon. No. Move that up a week. Their premiere date is actually March 18th.
Oh, so you get to watch it before you go out con then.
Actually, the way I see it is I'm probably going to watch it before the con. I'm probably going to watch it at the con, and those people that say, hey, come watch Batman v Superman with us, I'm going to say, no, I'm going to watch something actually entertaining. But they did release a new teaser trailer for Season 2. You guys want that shit?
Yes.
I sat down and watched it. I thought it was pretty awesome myself, but, you know, that's me. I sent the video. For a second, I thought it was going to be the tones from Close Encounters.
I can't see.
Oh, wow.
I hear things.
Yeah. Recreations from the first season in the form of chapel paintings.
Yeah.
Warrior by day, vigilante by night. How does that work?
Sometimes you have to
I hope we get more Rosario Dawson in the second season. She was fun.
I don't see the city anymore. All that I see are its dark corners.
Karen Page, that's right.
Can be reborn.
Kingpin and his sick girlfriend.
Believe in the devil, Father.
Another man's evil does not make you good.
There's that rabbits in the snow painting.
Lied to me, Matt, since the day we met.
I have to be the man the city needs.
I respect your conviction.
I like the CG.
Alone man thinks he
Yeah.
can make a difference.
Look at that one.
I'm just trying to make my city a better place.
You see it?
Father, why do I still feel guilty?
Now do you see it?
Can be a good thing. It's a soul's call to action.
Oh, I
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Yep, the Punisher's skull in the middle of that painting.
Your work is not yet finished.
Oh,
March 18th.
wow. That gives me a little bit. That gives me some chills.
Well, Well, I do like the idea that they're introducing the Punisher as what Daredevil could be if he loses, what moral compass he has. It's basically supposed to be Matt Murdock confronting where his path is leading him.
I wonder if there's someone else in there, because you can't just have the Punisher as the villain of this story.
The Punisher isn't necessarily the villain. He's just competing with Murdock towards the same goal. However, I think the goal may have something to do with the new gang leader that showed up in town. Her name is Elektra Nachios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, complications. For those of you who are just scratching your head and wondering why that's important, Elektra Nachios, as of the Frank Miller run, was a love interest of Matt Murdock on and off for a long time. Trained assassin and ninja, she was controlled by the Japanese crew called the Hand, who we saw little bits of in the first season. Real fearsome fighter. Died in rebirth several times through processes that are a bit convoluted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But she's considered very fearsome. Wolverine is on a first name, or I should say Logan was on a first name basis with her. That gives you any indications. Anyway, I saw a picture of the most interesting movie advertisement I've ever seen. It's a billboard.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah, check out this billboard, because I had to stare at it for a minute to know what it was talking about. Then I figured it out. You got a skull, a pile of poop, and an L.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. A Deadpool. It was an advertisement for Deadpool's movie in emoji form, basically. Some people are calling that the most creative use of an emoji they've ever seen. The best part is, I saw, after this came out online, I saw a Twitter post by the Deadpool film and Ryan Reynolds.
Uh-huh.
And it showed Deadpool laying across a billboard, and underneath it said, Skull Poople. And these guys, it seems like Fox is spending money just to make fun of itself in this one, which is probably the smartest thing they could do at this point, considering their record with films lately. And this last story I've got really won't help their it won't help their reputation at all. There were some concept posters that were done for the Fantastic Four film. Why they didn't use these, even just the concept art, I will never know. You guys remember the posters for Fantastic Four? They were kind of dreary.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
This is the concept art of what the posters were originally considered to look like, and these are much better.
Yeah.
It has.
You know what?
This looks like an interesting
Ben Grimm.
movie. Yeah.
I'm looking at Ben Grimm as like, if they could have done his process slowly instead of instantaneously, that would have been one hell of a story to tell.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's just the comic book Fantastic Four redrawn. I mean, you actually have an adaptation of the Michael B. Jordan Human Torch there. And that and the group pictures they came up with are really dynamic, interesting. It makes it look like something I'd want to see. I don't think you'd have to get any fancier than this, really. And if you scroll further down, they have concept art of the groups of them in several places, and then they have one of Doctor Doom, which is a little bit Japanese style, but at the same time, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like somebody tried to put Doom on the same echelon as Darth Vader as far as movie villains for a minute. Hey, you can say no, it's just what I see.
Why don't they ever do this with him?
I don't know. They're always so busy making him whiny and stuff. They never actually make him regal. The guy's supposed to be the
man,
ruler of the country, but he never acts like it.
Freaking country.
So, I couldn't tell you. Every time the Fantastic Four comes up, I have a lot of hope, and then I get disappointed.
I've gone so far past hope.
Even Superman cannot lift up my spirits.
No.
We have to get him a blue ring. All right, we also have DC media news. We talk about the properties from the other side of the tracks that are not on the comic book page. And there's a sneak peek of Wonder Woman coming soon. Gal Gadot is currently working on the Wonder Woman movie. Yeah, there's supposed to be a sneak peek of the Wonder Woman film coming to the CW during a special they're airing about the new movie Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's going to be on the CW in a special titled Dawn of the Justice League, and during that we'll get a sneak peek at the new Wonder Woman movie.
All right.
Does that make you more interested in watching a special about the movie if you're going to find out more about the Wonder Woman movie specifically?
I have to go watch the movie, but
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what
honestly,
they can do.
I've already seen Superman. I've already seen Batman. There is still hope for Wonder Woman.
You make it sound like she needs to be emancipated. You must free her. Set her free. Let her roam through the plains.
I just, it hasn't been too good for DC lately. I'll put it that way.
Okay. I'm trying to follow what you're saying here. That's all. Now I have this image of Batman and Superman standing over a caged Wonder Woman, just like tossing pancakes between the bars.
Why pancakes?
Because they fit between the bars.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, I'll calm down. There is a report that Amber Heard is in talks to play Mera in Aquaman and the Justice League film. Mera is the longtime fiance and sometimes wife of Aquaman in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And
supposedly, yeah, she would be the one playing opposite Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Reportedly, Mera would come first in the Justice League film in 2017 before being in the Aquaman movie. Amber Heard, she's not exactly new. She's been in Friday Night Lights, Pineapple Express, Magic Mike XXL, and The Danish Girl. Justice League Part 1 is supposed to begin filming this April, actually. I mean, as much as I don't think I'll like Batman v Superman, I really do hope it's good because DC, or Warner Brothers, I should say, is trying to get fully behind DC. I mean, you heard it. Before Batman v Superman even has a full month worth of ticket sales, they're already working on Justice League. If Batman v Superman doesn't work out and collapses, could you imagine what would happen to that film?
Gone. Just pull the rug.
Yeah. I mean, the last time they tried a DC Cinematic Universe, what do we get? We got a very unhappy Ryan Reynolds. It's true.
Yeah.
Would you vote for Oliver Queen for mayor?
Do I know he's a Green Arrow?
I doubt it. I ask because the Arrow TV show is coming back as of January 20th. That's the end of its mid-season break. And they've released a promo that shows Oliver Queen in a suit, and the words around him are United, Oliver Queen for mayor, oliverqueenformayor.com. So I'm guessing this is the direction of the new season. He's going political.
Well, he was running for mayor in the last season.
Yeah.
I think Oliver Queen
Not the
held
last season. He was running before the mid-season break.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Oliver Queen won some kind of political role in the comic books, but I don't really know. I've never read Green Arrow with any regularity, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to say it's mirroring comic books. Obviously, this show's taking its own direction and it's working for him, but it's just what I can kind of remember. One of the books we read is actually getting an animated adaptation. But it's getting a bit more than that. Remember that Batman the Killing Joke? The Killing Joke? What the hell is a joke? The Killing Joke is getting an animated adaptation, and Kevin Conroy is re-signed to be Batman for this film, supposedly, which is cool in several respects. There's a rumor that says that because Conroy's involved, that Mark Hamill may do this one more time.
Mark Hamill said he would do it. He would come back for the Killing Joke.
Okay, I haven't heard any official confirmations yet, so I'm keeping that...
He put it on Twitter. He said he would come back for the Killing Joke.
Okay. Well, the interesting part is Bruce Timm, who's been kind of DC's master at animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who adapted Batman to the animated series in the 90s. It kind of brought all this back into pop culture in large forms. He is adding more story to the Killing Joke.
I'm okay with that.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. He said, quote, "The one big difference about it, as opposed to these other projects, The Killing Joke, the source material is really not long enough to make an entire feature film out of. So we actually had to add a lot more story to it, which is tricky. But I think we came up with a really good solution on how that worked," unquote.
I'm interested to see what you can do.
Yeah, I'm not saying I have a problem with that. I remember we read The Killing Joke. We weren't impressed because the storytelling was a little dated. It didn't really fit very well with modern storytelling, and since it's the first time most of us had even read it. I do worry a little bit, though, because you know how comic book purists are.
Yeah.
You know, they don't like it when you deviate even slightly from the original story, and he's talking about adding a bunch of stuff that was never there before. Great concept.
Just elaborate what's already there, so...
The question is, can you elaborate, though, because you want to show this film to a bunch of people who have never seen it before, you know? It's a catch-22. I know you got to keep people in the loop as to what changes are coming, but you still want to surprise them. If you guys got anything, let me know. I'm flying blind here.
All I know is I'm actually looking forward to seeing what changes he would add to it because like you said, we had less than satisfied experience with reading the actual comic.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of things can be updated for a modern audience. I mean, obviously, comic books didn't stay static since a lot of them were introduced in the 20s and 40s. The question is, can you add enough of it to pay a proper homage to the source material while still making it fresh enough for a modern audience? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, if you're going to tell me that the Joker is Jared Leto, I'm already out. But, I do think Tim is a talented writer. I'm not a fan of everything he does, but obviously he resonates well with a lot of DC fans. So if anybody can pull it off, I think he could. What would you guys feel about the Flash TV show having a lot more penis jokes in it? You know, a few more jokes about speed runs, as it were.
I know where this is going.
I had to ask because it was recently announced that Kevin Smith has been hired to direct an episode of The Flash.
Yep.
He's actually written several DC comics, including comics for the Green Arrow and several Batman books. He's written Daredevil books. They haven't announced which episode he's doing, but sometime after the second episode resumes, one of those episodes will be Kevin Smith's. Do you think this will be the time that the Flash can't run fast enough because he's walking like waist deep in some kind of mysterious white fluid?
I can see him having a lot of fun with some of these characters.
That would be the moment where half the people tune out when it just says, "Look out, Flash, it's the dildo smacker." The what? Some guy just runs up and hits him in the side of the head with like a purple dildo or something.
I'm getting a Saints Row flashback.
Oh, who knows? I mean, what's his name? Mark Hamill's already been on the show twice. Maybe he'd be willing to be Cockknocker one more time. A former Battlestar Galactica actor is being cast in the Flash for a role. This is not one I'm familiar with. The actor is Aaron Douglas. He's the one who played Chief Tyrell in the Battlestar Galactica TV show from last decade. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Never seen Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, he played this surly chief who was in charge of maintenance on a lot of the Vipers. He's being cast as a little hefty. I wouldn't call him large.
Yeah, all right.
The reason why I brought him up, though, is because he's playing a Flash character I've never heard of before. The Turtle.
Ooh. The Turtle?
The Turtle. There's a picture here I can give to you guys because I have never seen this before, and I saw this, and my initial thought was this has to be a joke. I mean, take a look at this thing. It's a guy with like white hair. He's kind of balding a little bit on top. He's got a lot of warts in funny places, a little hairy. But the reason why I thought it was a joke is because I was looking at this just going, is he a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fanboy who ran amok? What is this thing? Doesn't he look like some guy who was really interested in the original comic books and just never got out of it?
Yeah.
You know, this.
I'm trying to figure out, is that a some kind of a grenade, or is that like a hat, or is, I mean, I know it's got that wind up thing on it. What the fuck is he holding?
Dude, I am right there with you because I was staring at that just going, what is that? And I can't figure it out myself. I don't know. But this character is going to show up in a future episode, and I'm I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. It definitely wasn't anything I was expecting.
Yeah.
I get why this character was created, but yeah.
It's the slow pondering versus the super fast.
Yeah, torso and the hair, story.
Well, sort of. Apparently, the power of this character in the TV show will be the ability to slow time, and he'll use it to restrict the Flash's attempts to outrun Zoom.
Huh.
Which really makes me question what that wind-up thing in his hand is.
Hmm.
So
Especially
I'm
since
lost.
I think I see a pin coming off of it, so maybe it is.
Is that a pin or is that a head? Is that a turtle head?
I don't know.
I am scared to ask. Maybe it's the episode that Kevin Smith is directing. Maybe that's not a head. Stephen Amell has confirmed when his contract is up for Arrow. He has a contract that runs through 2019. Apparently, there's been a few Facebook rumors recently that he is leaving the Arrow to do some other project. And he said on Facebook, quote, "I have a contract that runs through 2019. At least, now that doesn't mean Arrow will run that long, but if it does, I'll be here. Any other questions I can answer?" Unquote. I don't watch the show. It's good to know that the main actor is contracted through 2019. Why does it seem like he's the one that doesn't know if it could run that long? I mean, it's only 3 years from now. Does he know something I don't? Because last I checked, the show was still doing fairly well in the ratings.
All I know is, after 5 years, their whole, present day and flashback storytelling they've been doing is going to end.
I keep wondering about that because as much as I'm not a fan of the show, I tune in every now and again to see if it's something I might enjoy at this point. Some shows get better with time. I keep wondering, he's made it off that island like 4 years ago, and he's still flashing back to all this other stuff that seems really inconsequential 90% of the time. Are they just trying to find reasons to put him back in that weird Kurt Cobain wig I've seen him in? Sorry if it seems like I'm snipping a bit. I don't understand their version of storytelling. They spend so much time flashing back, it's like, get back to the damn story. Transmissions have been detected. Not going to address that?
Nope. No, took care of it.
Okay.
Shot the guard.
Well, somewhere in the next, I think next week, the latest in the CW DC shows, Legends of Tomorrow debuts. Are you guys curious about this one at all? Because I've heard reports that it may be the best show they've put out so far.
From who?
Kevin Smith. He's seen an advanced copy of the episode, the pilot. Oh. Was it Ralph Garman said the same thing, actually. They're both superbly impressed with this.
I have high hopes for it. I will watch it.
Okay. Well, IO9 has a new trailer for it that they're calling very Guardians of the Galaxy-ish.
All right.
I take it we'll take that challenge and see if it's true?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I sent the video. Legends of Tomorrow, an exclusive look, driven by Ford. Wow, okay, the time sphere is by Ford? I didn't know that's what Rip Hunter drove.
Can I help you?
Join me in the parking lot.
Oh, White Canary.
Tempting, but you're not my type.
Maybe you didn't understand my request.
I got this.
Okay. Oh, so Cold's actually backing her up for once, huh?
The world doesn't need any of us. We're just a collection of nobodies.
Up until 2 months ago, I was a barista, not some damn winged demigod.
You're just a lost assassin. You're just a pair of good-for-nothing criminals.
I can live with that.
They're not good for nothing. They've stolen stuff. I think so.
Spaceship. Time ship.
I certainly hope that you won't.
Oh, so he's not using a sphere, it's a full ship.
Exactly how many knives do you have?
Just saving the world.
DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Series premiere Thursday, January 21st
Interesting.
on the CW.
Okay. Now that I've seen that...
I get where they get the Guardians of the Galaxy analogy.
I would not call it Guardians of the Galaxy, but
I know,
it is very...
get where they get that.
Yeah.
I think they need to find their own identity instead of copying something else.
Well, I don't think they're copying anything. I think they're still finding it. The video definitely pulled a bunch of clips where it made it seem like they're not a team of any sort so much as a bunch of drinking buddies who happen to be traipsing through time.
Mm.
You know, I didn't get much cohesion there. But I will say that after that promo, now it just doesn't seem like a DC anthology show. Now it does seem like it's going to have its own feel. I mean, the Arrow, it's all sullen, it's depressing, and it's a bunch of grim whining. Flash, much more hopeful, but sometimes seems a little directionless. This show seems like it's actually going to be fun for the sake of fun, you know? At least based on that promo.
We
So,
shall see.
yeah, more interested to watch it now. It also came out this week that Legends of Tomorrow is going to traipse across several other DC characters. They just confirmed that for one episode they're going to the Old West and they will run directly into Jonah Hex.
Of course.
I wonder if that's the Jonah Hex that has an I-beam. Strange story. Don't make me get into it, please.
I was gonna say, when did he? But yeah,
he had one.
Okay.
There's also some internal talk about a potential crossover between Supergirl and The Flash.
I heard about
the
that.
two TV shows on CBS and the CW. And Greg Berlanti, who's the executive producer for Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl, said, quote, "I would love it. A lot of things would have to go right and people would have to say yes. It would have to be figured out very soon. It would have to all be figured out in the next month or so, as it remains right now. We've talked internally about how cool it would be, but we haven't had official conversations," unquote.
Yeah.
So I would count that in the world of potential, but highly unlikely. And I can give you the one best reason why that can't happen. Superman.
Yeah.
You would have to establish in the Flash and Arrow that this Kryptonian who could help them in a lot of the things that they've been doing that could alter the world does exist, but for some reason decided, nah, I ain't going to do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think you're better off keeping those universes very separated. It has been announced that a former Supergirl is joining the Supergirl cast on CBS.
Heard about that.
Laura Vandervoot. She played Supergirl on the Smallville TV show.
You know, I've not watched Smallville at all.
Neither have I. Oh, no, check that. I've watched an episode when I heard they were getting like the Teen Titans crew together, and that was disappointing. She played Kara in several episodes of Smallville, but she's not playing a Kryptonian this time around. You know what she's doing?
What?
She's playing former outsider Indigo.
I have no idea who that is.
No idea either.
Indigo was an interesting story. In the DC Comics back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were two really big younger super teams. There was the remainder of the Titans and another crew called, God, who was it? I think it was called Young Justice at the time, which had a lot of the third generation superheroes on it. You know, Cassandra Cain as Wonder Girl, Tim Drake as Robin, characters like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
This character Indigo showed up out of nowhere from the future and seemed to be some kind of android that was just going insane. She had blue skin, purple hair, and she had run through several of the heroes, and at the end of it, she killed Donna Troy. At that point, they finally knocked her senses back, and she gained this really kind of boisterous, geeky personality, and she joined one of the teams that came out of the destruction of both of these teen teams, the Outsiders. And after about 2 years of storytelling, she betrayed them all. Turns out Indigo was an alter ego of Brainiac 7.
8.
She was a mole. Oh, 8?
Yeah, Brainiac 8.
Ah. So this is the character that Laura Vandervoot will be playing on Supergirl. Whether or not she's a mole for Brainiac is yet to be determined. Or if the character is even an android. But there it is. They did confirm, though, that there will be a story involving Bizarro Supergirl in an upcoming episode.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the character's going to be played by Hope Lauren. They didn't reveal the origin of Bizarro, but they did say that there will be a Bizarro Supergirl in the February 1st episode of Supergirl, which is titled Bizarro. Go figure! Supergirl had a lot of news this week. It turns out that a notorious Alan Moore story for Superman is going to be retold in this show, too. They're going to go back to the Man Who Has Everything storyline. Did you hear about that one?
Oh, yeah.
The Man Who Has Everything involves Mongol in the Superman books, who brings Superman a a creature. It looks like black flowers called a black mercy. It wraps around somebody and gives them images of their perfect idyllic life. And just, it leaves them pliable and just kind of sitting there comatose. That story will also happen in the Supergirl TV show.
I like their adaptation when they did it for Justice League.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this idea in itself because it brings the character of Supergirl into a World League story, and it gives them a chance to really kind of flex their writing abilities. And in DC news, that did not go well for DC Media. TNT has decided, no, we are not doing a Teen Titans show.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, they were talking about Akiva Goldsman running the show for them. According to TNT executives, they said that... according to Kevin Riley, who's the entertainment chief over at TNT, he said, quote, Akiva Goldsman is a talented guy, but the script just wasn't there. There's an unbelievable glut of superhero things in the market right now, and if you have a really good one, clearly people are up for it. But I just don't think that there's need for that one, for me at least, on paper, and it didn't seem to be screaming to get made, unquote. That does not sound good at all. I mean, it sounded like they were into the superhero show until they read the script and said, no. And this could have been a good show for TNT. This was supposed to be the new Teen Titans era, which would have had Dick Grayson as Nightwing, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Starfire, Raven. This could have been a really good show for them. And last up in DC media news, NBC is saying that their DC show Powerless, the one that follows kind of an office comedy based in the DC universe, they are promising that there will be recognizable superheroes in the show. It won't be just random, C-listers that show up. DC Entertainment told IGN, quote, DC came in with a pitch that they're very committed to. This is a world where superheroes not only just on green screen, but out the window of this insurance office, but they're also running into you on the street and wreaking havoc. The idea isn't that the creme de la creme of superheroes. It's a world where there's a whole population of superheroes with all sorts of challenges themselves. So you're selling quite a range of characters in that realm in addition to our great kind of grounded human ensemble, unquote. This is all supposed to be about an insurance agency inside the DC universe somewhere. What do you think?
Sounds interesting.
Think so?
Oh, yeah. There's a potential for a lot of fun stuff here.
Admittedly, I have reservations, that's all. I'm just worried about an office comedy, I guess. From there, we move into general media news. We talk about those nerdy properties that are going to be on screens and other media that are not Marvel and DC related. And the first one is kind of a sad one. How far would you go to see George Lucas brought back to the Star Wars movies?
Not.
Huh?
How far would you go to see George Lucas brought back to the Star Wars movies?
I wouldn't go very far at all.
I don't really...
I know they're just going.
There is a Change.org petition to bring George Lucas back to the Star Wars films, according to the writer Yuri Ruiz. Quote, we have no problem with Colin Trevorrow, but he's not the right guy to direct Star Wars Episode 9. George Lucas as director of Episode 9 would be the perfect way to end this new trilogy and make an epic farewell between the father of Star Wars and the whole universe of the galaxy far, far away, unquote. I watch the prequels, and I'm going to say no. I think George Lucas's form of storytelling is dated. I don't think he's the guy. You know what I mean? I really just don't think he's the right one to lead this into the future. And, God, when did this petition come out? This petition came out as of the 7th, over a week ago. And it still does not even have the 25,000 signatures that are usually the threshold for these things on Change.org.
How much does it have?
23,421.
Oh, I thought it was going to be lower.
I just don't think this is cool. Especially with the stuff that George Lucas has been saying lately about Disney and his dealings with them. Regardless of his apologies, this does not sound like a guy I'd want to work with or for, So I would just have to say no. Legendary, the film company.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Legendary involved with the Warcraft film coming out?
Yes, it is.
It's now owned by the Chinese.
I know.
The film company the media company Dailan Wanda Group Company Limited from China announced Monday evening that it just made a cash deal for Legendary, $3.5 billion. The co-founder of Legendary, Thomas Tull, has agreed to remain on board as the chairman and CEO. I'm not going to say this is a bad thing, but it's a very curious thing.
Why sell out?
Well, obviously they made money in the sellout.
I mean, if it was becoming less productive, it wouldn't be necessary?
I don't know. It could have just been the interest of the Chinese company getting into the movie business. I mean, China's turned into a major player when it comes to ticket sales and films. They turned to a large market for movies. Maybe they just wanted to get in on it themselves. So I'm not going to sit here and speculate that anything was necessarily wrong in Legendary. Maybe things were just so right for this company they decided to get in on it. Or it could be maybe they're reading the writing on the wall as far as the Chinese economy and decided to look outside it for an investment opportunity. Because I know that the money in China is not doing well right now. Either of you guys watching The Expanse lately?
No.
Oh, disappointing. They're like 6 episodes deep, and this show is good. So good. Sci-Fi has already renewed The Expanse for a second 13-episode season.
Oh, good.
And the second season should begin in early 2017. Apparently, the show debuted on December 14th, pulling in 4.5 million viewers on sci-fi.com. Just on .com. It gained 1.6 million linear viewers over its first 3 episodes. So its ratings actually went up from the first episode to the third.
Wow.
The show is set 200 years in the future and follows Detective Miller, Christian Avasarala, and a man named Holden as he become embroiled in what they call the greatest conspiracy in human history. It's really good storytelling. I'm glad they did this in TV show form, because as a movie, this would have tanked badly. It would not have been very good storytelling. Something that did kind of surprise me this week is that a producer and former Disney executive have been picked to lead the Activision Blizzard film studio. Producer Stacey Sher and Disney executive Nick Van Dyke have been minted to lead the new Activision film studios. Activision film studios are the ones primarily responsible for the creation of the Warcraft film from Universal and Legendary. They're also looking to make new films based around other franchises, including Call of Duty, Skylander, Diablo, and StarCraft. And that's for film or TV projects. Stacey Sher is actually a producer on the Hateful Eight film, the recent Quentin Tarantino movie. But Blizzard actually plans to self-finance a majority of its projects. They aren't averse to having partnerships to help finance it, but apparently they're planning on paying a lot of this in-house.
Think they can still afford that?
I think so. I don't really follow the financials of Blizzard as a company, but they've had a lot of successful franchises over the last decade, so I'm not going to say they can't. I just think it's interesting, though. A lot of people will say if you want to get rich and stay rich, never pay for stuff with your own money. So
that gives them almost complete control of whatever they're trying to do, though.
It does. I don't really know if that's a good thing. Sometimes things are better when you step away a little bit from the source material for the sake of storytelling. The Marvel movies aren't exactly they don't exactly stick page for page with the storytelling from their source material. They do pretty well for themselves. One thing that is not doing well is the Heroes Reborn TV show. It just got canceled.
Yeah, I heard that.
After the January 21st episode, Heroes is no more. According to Robert Greenblatt, he's the chairman at NBC, quote, "As far as I know, there are no more incarnations of Heroes coming. It was always the plan, unless series creator Tim Kring woke up one day and said, "Oh, I have another chapter to tell. I think we're coming to the end of the world, maybe. Stay tuned," unquote. I've been watching the show. It's really not that good. It's one of those things where it started off very strong, but as the show went along, the storytelling became less and less focused. And I know they're trying to tell the story of about a dozen different characters right now, but they're doing a very bad job at kind of keeping all these threads meshed. I'm really not seeing how all this is supposed to come together. You know what I mean?
No,
so
I'm not even watching it.
It just seems like a whole bunch of incidental storytelling right now that sometimes happens to cross over. The 4th Narnia film is on the way, though. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Silver Chair. It's based on the 4th book in the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis.
Right.
The thing that makes me curious, though, is that they're billing it as a reboot.
Reboot?
Yes.
Well, Prince Caspian starred none of the original 4 children. It was Eustace and a schoolmate of his.
I don't know. I don't think I've actually sat down to watch it.
Oh, the book.
Oh, okay.
I've read all of them, so.
Well, Collider, when they were talking about this, called it a reboot, and a lot of people are questioning, why is it a reboot? It's the next one in the series of films.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they're calling it a reboot. I'm just saying that they could get all new actors if they wanted to, because there's no reason to use any of the previous actors, because they would all be either A, older in the story, and B, none of the original 4 are in it.
I couldn't say. Do you remember Mark Miller, the writer who has his own kind of mini universe of characters and includes stories he's told like Kick-Ass, Superior, Nemesis?
Yeah. Okay.
It's been announced that 2 adaptations are coming out of his line of comic books. Battling Boy, which is being described as a live-action animated hybrid. It's going to be directed by Patrick Osborne with Brad Pitt's Plan B producing. And then the other live-action they're making is Superior by Mark Miller and Leniel Yu. They've just hired the screenwriting duo Brandon and Philip Murray. There's no director has been announced for the project, but Matthew Vaughn, who directed Kick-Ass and Kingsman, is producing the movie. Superior was an interesting story to me. I didn't read enough of it. Superior was a story of a young guy who was really interested in comic books. Had been bullied most of his life. Things were not going well. Just the usual geeky kid. Mm-hmm. He woke up one day in the body of his favorite comic book superhero.
Oh.
A real Superman type of character, and that's where I accidentally stopped reading. I just kind of lost it in my pull list, and I never really got back into it. It was one of those stories that sound like fun
many
havoc.
Things going bad.
I know.
Yeah.
You sound like such great havoc.
Oh, there's some great retribution coming.
Yeah. And Game of Thrones Season 6 is a little closer than I thought. It's coming back April 24th of this year. So there's no word as to what kind of stories we can expect. There has been word that even though this is where the TV show will technically hit a point that's ahead of the books, there are no major spoilers from the books coming in the TV show. I don't quite know how that could be, but I'll give it a shot. I've been enjoying the show thus far. Now, there's a new geek cafe in Japan that has an interesting rule.
Okay.
You can't be a guy. Osaka has the Atraxia Cafe. It actually has an online application process that you have to be approved for to enter. You have to be both a member and a girl to get in. The cafe explicitly bans regular people and men.
Regular people?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they mean by that.
Non-fan girls, I guess?
I suppose. I don't know. I've been looking through pictures of it, and it's not exactly an impressive place. Some of it looks like an industrial restaurant space that somebody just happened to lay carpet in, frankly. And I don't quite know how I feel about that, because while I understand that being a geeky female can be rather rough in the hobby in general, I don't
especially
really know.
in Japan.
Yeah, I just don't really know about segregating it in such a format.
I don't know. There's quid pro quo, I guess, because there's how many guys only clubs and stuff.
I wouldn't know. Usually, I was about to say, usually geeky clubs are desperate for females to even show up.
Yeah, which could be because of their relative discomfort of being the only girl in the room. So maybe a club for all girls where they can just hang out and do their stuff. Whatever,
Well, this one kind of flows into the last story I've got in general media news. Is that Japanese government data says that nearly 4 in 10 Japanese men in their 20s and 30s have no sexual relations with the opposite sex, and a quarter of single men in their 30s are actually virgins. This is part of what they're calling the problem of their declining birth rate.
Right.
Let me see. The official data on middle-aged virgins is known as White Hands. It's an NPO hoping to de-virginize some of these men, holding nude sketch classes in the hopes of familiarizing people with the female form in the flesh as a first step in remasculinization.
I don't think that's the issue.
Problem.
I'm pretty sure they understand what the female figure looks like.
Some of the group's organizers, in their interesting thought process, blame anime and manga for the state of affairs.
I'm sure it's one of the symptoms.
Yeah, one of the contributing
I don't
factors.
think it's one of the problems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a fallback. It's like when people blame video games for shootings. Video games are not the cause. It's just a sign that something is wrong.
And even then, it's not even necessarily a sign. I know plenty of people that play violent video games. They don't go out shooting people.
Well, I played video games for decades.
There's three in this podcast right now.
Yeah,
I played video games for decades. I have yet to step on a turtle.
So it's all to do with the individual. But yeah,
according to the organizer, quote, Japanese society is overflowing with diversions other than romance and sex, such as anime, manga, and games. Pain and anguish are not dealt with, so the solace of sex and romance is not needed. The illusion of the perfect relationship and the fear of failure, which so peculiarly pervades Japanese society, has a severe impact, and this is all linked to the death of the sexual relationships here, and of course, the low birth rate, unquote.
Right, and see, so you take out that anime, video games, and manga, and read that again, and you actually kind of get a better picture of what the problem is. One, they don't deal with pain and so forth; they just ignore it.
Well, it's not even that they ignore it. What they're presenting in that statement is the fact that people are just plain avoiding it.
Yeah,
they're avoiding the possibility of this pain by not even attempting relationships or even attempting really meeting the opposite sex.
It is a cultural, problem. And yes, anime, manga, video games, so forth are part of, a society's culture. But it's like I said, it's an outlet. It's not the problem.
I just think it's interesting because some of the websites I'm on, some of them are Japanese cultural, and when you get deep enough, occasionally it just turns into the photos that are shared on Japanese, social sites.
Mm.
And there seems to be a ton of girls out there who are just showing off their bodies. That tells me that the country's not sexless. But there are a bunch of frustrated females out there. They do seem eager to actually have sexual relations, but there seems to be kind of a disconnect out there because a lot of the complaints I hear about women is just how a lot of men are just, in the country at least, are not aggressive enough in general when it comes to sex and relationships.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a fascinating country in so many regards, but yeah, they've got some issues.
Well, I mean, that would explain why things like the Macho Cafe are so damn popular among women.
Yeah.
They every once in a while they just want guys to be lumberjacks, basically.
But at the same time, it's a stereotype. They're going after these big beefy guys and whatnot, and most Japanese men are going, "Oh, that's not me."
I think it has to do a little bit with adaptation. There's the idea of being yourself, but there's also the idea of being the best of yourself. I think the Japanese in general are very good at being themselves, but I don't think they push themselves to be the best of themselves a lot of the time.
Well,
I'm not going to say that's solely a Japanese problem. That's true of like a lot of male societies, but
yeah.
I don't think they really try to bring more out of themselves.
I don't know. Honestly, I look at it and I just basically say, I think when it comes down to, their society as a whole, the men are all thinking, okay, women want this, none of which applies to me. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to go off. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do whatever makes me feel good when I have my time off. Women are going, okay, guys in this society, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Why the hell can't they do this? We're so easy to approach. No, you're not. No woman is ever easy to approach.
But they will rent a boyfriend at $150 an hour.
If that's what they have to do. So, I still don't know how well, it's been a little while since, I've even really bothered to look into it, but, how women are adjusting in Japan to, life in the working world. But, that's still something that, the U.S.
There's
has
never a lot of talk about those. Yeah, there's never a lot of talk about those statistics in general. I mean, one of the oft repeated problems, as men put it, in trying to date women is that in the last couple decades they've just turned to such bitches, as they put it anyway. Which, I'm not going to say that's true, but as women take more of a step forward in workplaces and society, they tend to get a lot more self-assured and a lot more self-reliant. And I'm not going to say they're turning into bitches. They're just the society is changing.
Well, there is also the fact that when people have been repressed and then suddenly get more freedom, they too tend to push back even further than is absolutely necessary. So I could see the fact that there's probably some very aggressive women out there.
I'm sure there are. There's aggressive. There's aggressive women everywhere, but
it's not like it's not understandable.
Yeah, I'm just saying that aggressive women have always existed, at least in my lifetime, and it hasn't stopped me from at least trying.
Right.
Obviously it hasn't stopped me from trying. I have 3 kids. Apparently I try a lot. From there, we'll move into Marvel comic news. We'll talk about the Marvel properties that do end up on the comic book pages. It's a new year, which means we got new teasers from Marvel that don't tell us a whole goddamn lot. The first one is 3 words on a black page. Obviously, it's a Marvel logo on there, so we know it has to do with something. But all I can tell you is that somebody is not going to be dead soon. Take a look. All it is a very simple picture teaser that says "Dead No More."
Well, let's check the list. The original Jean Grey, Logan. I don't know. Those are the only ones that come to mind so far.
I would lay odds that neither of those are coming back to life, though.
Good.
Well, I'm saying that because you already have young Jean Grey, and I don't think you want to confuse that any further. And now you also have Old Man Logan and the new Wolverine. I don't think they're going to undercut those stories. If I had to lay odds, I'd say that these words probably have to do more with an Avenger than anything else. But even then, it's
dead.
Lots. Gilgamesh, Jack of Hearts, Swordsman. There is a number of dead Avengers out there. Actually, I need to take Gilgamesh off the list. He came back to life, and he's in the Hercules series right now. Don't know where Bruce Banner is.
It could be not even it's a superhero character. It might be just another character from some other superhero's life.
Oh, you think it could be Rick Jones?
What if it wouldn't be free?
Gwen Stacy? I don't know.
The Sentry? There's so many things it could be, and that just leads to more questions.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that wasn't the only teaser they put out in the last week. The second one is a bit more telling. It is a black and gold background, and it had these words emblazoned across them. Best beware my sting.
Okay.
You know, and everybody thought they had this really well figured out when that teaser came out. It seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Except it's one of those cases where they threw you a curve. Marvel announced this week that for Free Comic Book Day on May 7th, the day that retailers get free comic books to hand out as a form of advertising, part of that will be a special Civil War #1. It's supposed to be a prelude to the next Civil War event in Marvel Comics. While they were making this announcement, they also announced that an all-new Wasp is coming. So that has to do with the Best Beware My Sting teaser, but they seem to be pretty sure that it's an all-new Wasp. Not Janet Van Dyne in a new form, but a different Wasp. So I was wondering if this maybe has to do with the Hope Van Dyne character instead.
Could be.
It's all guesswork right now. I mean, a lot of people seem to forget in Marvel Comics for a little while, Hank Pym was the Wasp. There was a story on IO9 that is getting like a lot of very kind, although acerbic posts, because they said in their article, no one else has ever taken on the Wasp moniker. And then there's 20 people going, there's this other guy. So they still haven't corrected the story yet, but eh. But when it comes to Civil War, we finally found out the synopsis as to what the story is about.
Okay.
And it is not necessarily a replay of what's come before. What's going to happen is that the Marvel Universe is going to encounter a brand new character who is able to predict upcoming events with frightening accuracy. Right?
Okay.
This character presents a problem because, according to them, one of the major Marvel heroes is going to kill someone in 3 days.
Oh.
So we got a Minority Report.
Basically. Of the mind of we have to take care of this before there's a problem is Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, leading a side that includes the She-Hulk and Spider-Man. The interesting part is of the mind that we can't punish people before there's a crime, leading that side of it is Tony Stark, the Iron Man. If you remember, this is the guy who was pro-registration in the last Civil War. He's the one fighting against the machine in this case. Well, even more surprising are the people siding with him. Not the first one, Peter Quill, the Star-Lord. He's all for the free will side. But also siding with Tony Stark, Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Huh.
Oh.
So apparently a little bit of a bridge is being repaired there. It's also been said, though, that in Civil War, some major Marvel character is supposed to die. Now, I have no idea what that means. I mean, we all know that death is transitory in comic books.
Right.
When that announcement was made, I saw no end of people on social media who were going, oh, yawn, someone's supposed to die, oh, boring. But let me remind you that, yes, death is a regular part of comic book storytelling. However, sometimes only when you remove a character from the board can you get actual interesting stories for a little while.
Right.
You know, I mean, they removed Phoenix from the board, and all of a sudden the X-Men don't have the end-all, be-all of secret weapons on their side. They removed Logan from the board, and we finally have a Wolverine I like to read. You know, shoot, they removed Thor from the board, and suddenly the Avengers didn't have their big gun standing behind them. You know, it's important sometimes to remove characters entirely to make things different.
Although I have to say, death isn't necessarily always the way to remove those characters. Or you get people going, oh, yawn, you know, somebody else is going to die.
It's funny you bring that up, because I read Secret Wars #9.
Okay.
And if you remember, we've been wondering since the all-new, all-different Marvel Universe books have been coming out that everyone keeps talking about Reed Richards as if he's gone.
Right.
Right? We've been reading that, you know, we've been surmising that he probably took out Doom at the end and died and something weird happened and all this other stuff. That's not what happened. As a quick
spoiler.
No, it's even weirder than you think. And Jesse, this is major news, so it has to be gone through. Reed Richards didn't actually come up with the mega device like he usually does in comic books.
Good.
He didn't come up with a universal answer. It literally came down to a fist fight between him and Dr. Doom in the Molecule Man's chamber underneath Battleworld. Richards got Doom to admit in the midst of the fight that the reason why Doom is so angry with the all the time is because Doom knew that Richards could have done a better job repairing the universe than he could have. And Doom just kind of muttered yes while he's getting ready to burn his face off. And that's when the Molecule Man says, okay, if you say so. And he undid Battleworld. The Molecule Man gave Reed Richards all the power he'd been funneling into Doom. That's why the Marvel Universe has been restored. Reed Richards, with the help of Franklin Richards, the Universal Shaper, put it back. And they're using the Molecule Man's power to create new universes. They're literally existing right now outside time and space. So Reed Richards hasn't died. Susan Storm hasn't died. Franklin and Valeria are okay. They're just existing outside time and space right now with the Future Foundation, making new universes. They're restoring the multiverse in addition to making brand new universes, and they're creating scientific theorems regarding their origins. They're not being superheroes anymore. They're just doing science. One of the people who worked on this story, Tom Bevrut, he's Marvel's Senior Vice President of Publishing. He called this the perfect end and the last Fantastic Four story for now. And I got to admit, that was a decent ending to all this.
Yeah.
I was getting kind of worried about where it was going. It seemed like it was kind of meandering in some of the middle issues, but it really did just put a really interesting ending on it all, where it wasn't just, hey, I've got a paperclip and a rubber band and an atomic reactor. I can make something out of this. It came down to Doom. Yeah, it came down to Doom and Reed Richards punching each other, almost literally. It was kind of a cool idea. Oh, yeah. And by the way, they also revealed the reason why Miles Morales is in the regular universe now instead of annihilated with the rest of the Ultimate Universe.
Uh-huh.
In one of the issues, Miles Morales and Peter Parker got into the bunker and found the Molecule Man, and he said he was hungry, and he asked him if he had any food. Miles Morales had a cheeseburger in his pocket.
Oh, God.
And Parker even asked him, you've had that with you since you were in the last universe? Yeah, I am not touching that. The Molecule Man ate it. Apparently nobody really brings him food down there, even though he's technically a self-sustaining being. He still likes the idea of eating. So as a thank you for the burger, when they were remaking the universe, he took Miles Morales and put him in the regular Marvel universe.
Oh, jeez. One act of kindness.
Yeah, that tells you anything? Always bring a burger with you.
Hell, I think the man would have been happy with the Snickers.
Yeah. I am getting tired. Imagine what he would have done then. I am getting tired, though, of reading all the Facebook posts who are just saying, I'm so sick of reboots. It's not a freaking reboot. They put everything almost exactly back the way they found it. It's not a reboot.
Yeah.
A reboot implies a massive seismic shift and change in the universe, and that has not occurred. It may look different because the first new issues happened 8 months after the end of Secret Wars, but even then, it's not a reboot, it's a time jump. Storytelling format I'm not even a fan of, but it's not a reboot.
Yeah.
And last up in Marvel comic news, how would you like to own every Marvel comic book ever?
I don't think I have enough room.
Well, this would be...
The house is big enough for that.
You might be surprised. It's 109 long boxes. It's a man's entire collection. Apparently, he'd been collecting very voraciously Marvel comics since they first started coming out in the 1960s, 1961. And this collection starts with Fantastic Four #1 all the way through to 2015. Apparently, he's just run out of room for stuff, and he doesn't want his collection anymore, so he's selling it all via Bebop Comics in Kansas City in one gigantic chunk for $200,000.
Really? That's all?
I was kind of surprised at that myself. That seems awfully cheap for that grip of comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of condition they're in.
That's the question, because obviously he's a comics reader. He says that some of them are not in the best of condition. He's a reader. So, although some of those books, just due to their age, if they're even like a 3 on the grading scale, they're worth a decent amount of change. They did say if they couldn't find anybody to buy it in this big chunk, they will break it down to smaller lots and start selling it that way. That would almost be sad at this point.
Mm.
Dude, if I won that Powerball lottery, I'd be all over that.
I'm just thinking, if I'm already questioning that I don't have enough room and this guy's selling it because he doesn't have enough room, I probably don't have enough room.
It's 109 long boxes. You got a garage.
Yeah. I already don't park my car in the garage because there's not enough room.
Well, we don't have too much by the way of DC comic news. The Robin War did come to an end. If you remember, that was the event where the Robins were getting less disorganized in DC Comics and required a little bit of rearrangement, I guess would be the best word. Robin War 2 came out this week, and we found out the end result of it, and it's kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
The newest member of the court... What?
So who put them all back in order?
Alfred.
I believe Alfred did, but that's not really the surprising bit. The surprising bit is the newest member of the Court of Owls.
Who?
Dick Grayson.
Oh, I'm not surprised by that, actually.
The original Robin himself has become a member of the Court of Owls, mask and everything. This does not bring an end to the Grayson comic set. It sounds like they're changing the focus from him trying to infiltrate a spy agency to trying to infiltrate the Court of Owls itself. So he's still being an undercover agent of one sort. Not sure, that could lead to some interesting storytelling, but personally, it's one of those things where I still feel it's kind of transient. You can almost sense at some point this will end,
Wonder if, the Court of Owls might go through with their idea of turning him into a Talon.
I don't know. I really don't know. I can tell you that John Barrowman is going to be writing Arrow the Dark Archer for DC.
Oh yeah, I read about this.
It's a 12-chapter digital-first Arrow comic book that the guy who plays Merlin in the TV show is writing himself. It's going to have art by Daniel Sampier. Barrowman told TV Insider, quote, Arrow the Dark Archer began with a pitch for an entirely different comic. My sister and I are both comic fans, and a couple of years ago we came across a description of a team of DC superheroes from the 1950s that had been lost to history. We came up with a story to update them into a contemporary series. I went to Jeff Johns, chief creative officer at DC Comics, and pitched the idea to his team. While we were chatting, I mentioned Carol and I would love to write Malcolm's backstory too. Jeff knew Carol and I had written a number of things together. After we got the go-ahead from Jeff, we researched what had already been written about Malcolm Merlin, unquote. What they found out was that very little had ever been written about Malcolm Merlin. So, Barrowman and his sister decided to fill in the gaps. So yeah, you got another TV star who is writing comic books now. Last up in DC comic news is kind of an interesting one via IO9 and Rob Bricken. It's not necessarily news, but it's kind of an anthology thing. They came up with a list of 6 superheroes who had had their asses thoroughly kicked by Wonder Woman.
Okay.
This came up because of obviously the movie upcoming and Batman v Superman. And, Wonder Woman, although she's almost as strong as Superman, doesn't really get a lot of attention in as far as her overall power. So they decided to put together a list of 6 superheroes whose asses she has thoroughly whooped. And number 1 on the list, they decided to start strong because they came up with the time she beat up the Batman.
It shouldn't be too difficult.
Actually, it wasn't the difficulty rating so much as the end result. Quote, let's start big. Yeah, quote, let's start big, shall we? In Greg Rucka's The Hecate, Wonder Woman swears an oath to protect a woman who also murdered someone in Gotham. As Batman finds out when he goes to capture the criminal, Wonder Woman takes her oath very seriously, no matter the circumstances. Has there ever been a time where Batman has been more thoroughly defeated than when Wonder Woman punches him out of a building, tells him to basically get lost, and then Batman proceeds to immediately run the hell away? I contend there is not, unquote.
Wow.
And they showed the panel. She punched him out of a building and said, we will speak of this again later. Now go away. He gets up, looks at the balcony where she was standing, and immediately, throws up a grapple line and gets his ass out of there. She beat him up and scared him. And then there's the time she beat up...
You sure he was scared as a res? I just can't deal with this right now.
That's not the face that he gave in this panel. I will send it to you because the face he gave made it look like he needed some new bat tights.
He wasn't wearing his bat depends.
Well, maybe he needs his bat poop repellent, because the look on his face towards the end of that page, he looks worried, like superbly worried.
Yeah.
You know, he has that look
He's
of...
trying his best not to show it, but yeah.
I know. He has that look of, oh, damn, she means it. Well, I better go pimp slap Robin. Need to feel big again. Number 2 on this list is the Green Lantern. Quote, in Justice League number 11, Hal Jordan makes a rather chauvinistic mistake of telling Wonder Woman she can't go off to save her friend Steve Trevor, mainly because Wonder Woman is a bit angry at the time. Wonder Woman does not care for that, so Wonder Woman punches him into a car about a block away. Batman and the rest of the League stop the fight shortly thereafter, before a winner can be definitively named. But given that, as per the image above, Wonder Woman can break any Green Lantern construct she wants with sheer force of will, Green Lantern is exceedingly lucky the rest of the Justice League stepped in, unquote.
Yeah.
Number 3 on this list, The Flash and more. Quote, blinded after a fight with Medusa, where she poured poisonous snake blood into her own eyes to keep from looking at her foe and being turned to stone, the JLA decided to make sure she was still going to be able to perform her duties as a hero. So in Wonder Woman 212, she has to fight the Flash, Black Canary, Plastic Man, and Martian Manhunter all at once. Obviously, the Flash is the big gun here, and Superman and Batman are concerned about her inability to handle his speed. For about half a minute.
Reading some of this.
For about half a minute. Then when Wonder Woman starts using the change in air pressure to predict the Flash's location. So clearly, Wonder Woman can beat the Flash while blindfolded. It may also be worth mentioning that this fight ends when Superman tries to shoot Wonder Woman in the back of the head, a bullet that she deflects with her bracelet while blind, unquote.
Yeah, they make a comment that, yeah, even on her best day, she's never done anything like this before.
Can I just mention that Rob Bricken said that the Flash is obviously the big gun here? The Martian Manhunter's on that crew, so I would argue no. You know, the Manhunter sounds like the most dangerous one. Hero number 4 on this list of 6 heroes whose Wonder Woman has thoroughly kicked the asses of, Power Girl.
Oh, wow.
Quote, if you don't know Power Girl's origin, the simplest way to put it is that she's essentially Supergirl from an alternative universe, usually. So she's at least part Kryptonian, and has most of the standard powers, super strength, invulnerability, flight, etc. As far as powers go, Wonder Woman considers Power Girl her equal. And in Wonder Woman 40 and 41, when some bad guys trick Power Girl into an anti-Wonder Woman rampage, Power Girl literally punches Wonder Woman into Canada. But as soon as she realizes she's not going to be able to talk Power Girl down, Wonder Woman realizes the one way Power Girl will never come close to her. Combat skills, unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The panel just shows her like easily sidestepping a couple things, punching her in the kidneys, blocking one more, and then right when Power Girl goes for a haymaker, Wonder Woman just takes the butt of her palm and puts it right under her chin. And that's it. Done.
Difference between a
Brain
wild
shaker.
fighter and a trained fighter.
Yep.
Item number 5 on this list, Superman.
Of course.
Not of course, because they did add a kind of a caveat at the very beginning here. Quote, there's only been one time when Wonder Woman has fully, totally, unequivocally kicked Superman's ass, and that was in the excellent Elseworlds comic Injustice. To be fair, though, Superman and Wonder Woman were at their normal power levels, so keep it in mind. In the real DC universe, whenever Superman and Wonder Woman fight, they tend to reach a draw because they come to a truce so they can team up and defeat an actual bad guy, or because one of them is momentarily evil and the other doesn't want to hurt them. So the latter was the case in Wonder Woman 219, where Maxwell Lord tricks Superman into thinking Wonder Woman was Doomsday, and has killed Lois Lane. Superman goes all out. Why wouldn't he? Not only punching Wonder Woman into outer space, but punching her back to Earth, too. He blasts her directly in the face with his heat vision. He crushes her wrists in his hands. And not only does Wonder Woman get up every single time, she holds back because she doesn't want to hurt her friend. She eventually finds a rather controversial solution, but the fact is she takes the absolutely worst punishment Superman could dish out, and she's ready for more. Given that she also has a Sword of Hephaestus, one of the few items in the galaxy that can make Superman bleed, I know where I'd put my money if Wonder Woman ever decides to go all out against the Man of Steel, unquote. So it sounds like she got a whooping, but she was really ready for more the entire time.
Yeah.
And item number 6 on this, the entire Justice League. Quote, you know how Batman has all those secret files full of elaborate plans of how to defeat every member of the Justice League in case they turn evil? Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman managed to do the same thing in an afternoon. In League of One, when she learned of a prophecy of a great dragon that only the Justice League can defeat, but they'll die in the battle. Rather than sacrifice her allies, she decides to take them all out to ensure that she's the only member of the League that will be available to fight the dragon when it arrives. So she'll be the only one who has to die. She captures Martian Manhunter in her golden lasso and teleports him into a terrasphere in a volcano where he's surrounded by lava. She headbutts Green Lantern and takes his power ring right off his finger. She drop-kicks the Flash into unconsciousness. She punches Aquaman into the mouth of a legendary mythological monster, Charybdis, where it'll take him days to escape. She flat-out whoops Batman, and when Superman finally figures out what's going on, she tells him that she sent Batman, Flash, and Green Lantern into a space capsule headed straight for the asteroid belt. And while Superman goes to save them, she's going to fight the dragon on her own. She wins and dies, although Superman gets back just in time to give her a bit of super CPR. Not bad for a day's work, unquote. That one's kind of a misnomer because it's not like half the league even knew it was coming. She just took them down.
Oh, let's be honest. Mostly didn't know what Batman had going. So.
I know, but it's not like she just finally said, okay, I'm going to kick all your asses all at once. One by one, she just took them out, and they probably didn't even realize what was happening until it came to Batman at that point. So, although it is a decent show of power by a character that I still feel is largely underutilized in DC Comics. They're finally getting to the point where some of their major events are solved by people who aren't Batman or Superman, but in retrospect, Wonder Woman really doesn't play a large role in solving their problems. She's just kind of on the outskirts a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I used to always joke, you have to have a bat, a W, or an S on your chest, and in retrospect, W really doesn't factor into it too much. Next up is general comic and convention news. We'll talk about the comic news that isn't Marvel and DC related, as well as news about conventions from across the planet. And one of our favorite subjects has come back up in the news for this year, San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, boy.
Yep, they've released their first wave of guests for 2016's convention, and we're actually really familiar with at least one of these people. They've announced that Daniel Close, who is the writer and artist on 8-Ball and Ghost World and Patience, is coming. Brian Selznick, author and illustrator of Wonderstruck and the Marvels. Babs Tarr, the artist on the Batgirl series currently. And Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Writer-artist of American Flag and Star Wars, Howard Chaykin, is going to be there.
Huh.
Jesse knows what my issue is. Howard Chaykin is the guy who challenged me the most when it came to Great American Comic-Con.
Oh, okay.
The moment I keep going back to is when I was trying to talk to him, because he usually did all these comic books versions of movies and TV shows like Buck Rogers and Die Hard.
Okay.
And I said when I was trying to frame a question, you do a lot of adaptions of a lot of TV shows, and he interrupted me and said, adaptations. You passed high school, didn't you? And I looked at him and said, well, I'm half black and I aced English. I do okay. And he got this weird half smirk, took off his glasses, and just stared in my eyes for a moment. So I'm thinking, okay, either he thought that was funny or he's challenging me to something. I wasn't sure if he thought that's ha-ha or if he thought I just threw down the gauntlet and it's like, okay, now it's on. Oh, God. So he's going to be there.
Cool.
It's also been announced that an annual event outside Comic-Con is renewing itself for next year. GamerCon is coming. Did you guys remember that? We went to that a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently they're a newer venue. They moved from, I think it was 10th Street, down to F Street in the New School of Architecture and Media Design. I found it on F Street. It appears to be near 12th Street down there.
I walked by that a couple times on my first year at San Diego.
The New School of Architecture?
Is it new? I walked by some kind of art school.
Yeah, this is a different venue because it's even further outside the block of the gas lamp than their prior venue was the year we actually had badges.
Hmm.
Yeah, the address of this place is 1249 F Street. I looked it up on a map, and it's much further outside the Comic-Con area than I've ever walked. When I say much, I mean 2 blocks, so obviously it's not that far, but I mean, I know where I've been. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I just remember the year that I did go, man, even finding the place and the neighborhoods I had to walk through, some of them weren't the greatest, so hopefully this is a better location.
Well, this is a little further east, so it may be a little bit further into that neighborhood, but this is an actual, it's called the New School of Architecture and Media Design, so it's not a modified playhouse, it's an actual school of design. You can actually buy an early bird week-long pass for right now for $30, which is half off the normal $60 price tag. So if you're interested in that, you can go to gamercon.com at GAM3RCON.com to check it out. So already things are happening. And one more piece of Comic-Con news. Remember before we were talking about The Killing Joke? The animated adaptation?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where it's debuting?
Oh.
This year in 2016, Bruce Timm told Con TV over the weekend that they will be premiering the Batman Killing Joke animated adaptation at Comic-Con.
I will be there to watch it.
That's all you, man. I have a feeling that's not my crowd.
I've always been a fan of the animated anime movies that DC does. Most of them. Cool.
At least you got a plan then. You know, you've already got a 4-day badge. Steve has already got a 4-day badge. I definitely have a 4-day badge. I know where I'm going. What did you guys think of The Force Awakens?
What?
What?
The movie, Star Wars The Force Awakens. What did you guys think of it?
Oh, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was satisfactory. It was a satisfactory. It felt like a Star Wars film.
Okay, well, would you read comic books based on The Force Awakens?
Probably not.
It was just announced this week that in April, Poe Dameron #1 is coming out via Marvel Comics.
Except him.
Yeah, I'm not as big of a fan of that character. I don't know. Maybe reading the comics would put me in a better mood.
Well,
maybe fill in the gigantic holes.
This is going to tell the story of Poe Dameron pre-Force Awakens. This is going to be the story of how he became the pilot he is.
Right, okay. Well, I mean, considering the fact that I think it's already been established that he was actually supposed to die. So they probably didn't have a whole lot of backstory on the guy, so this is probably that.
I think that the reason that the change in life status of Poe Dameron from the beginning of the creation of the film to the end is the reason for some of the weird plot holes in the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Why he didn't look for BB-8, why his jacket was just suddenly on the ground and he wasn't in it, even though he's perfectly fine. Why he didn't double back to the wreckage to see if anybody else happened to be there, things like that.
Well, I think he did say that
he lands somewhere else far away.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain how he got separated from his jacket, though.
It is kind of odd that it is kind of weird that he ejected far away. He somehow lost his jacket, but his jacket was right outside the TIE Fighter cockpit. It's a little bit bizarre.
I don't know.
Was it outside or inside the cockpit?
I thought it was inside. I thought he just ducked out of it to fit into the escape pod or something.
I don't think there's room for an escape pod on that ship.
No.
I think there's an ejector seat, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's an actual escape pod. That would be kind of odd on a ship that small.
It's basically about the size of one.
Yeah, it's an escape pod with wings is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blasters.
I don't know.
And blasters.
It was one of those things I didn't really question at the time, but I probably should have.
You know, on a side note, though, TIE Fighters are some of the worst designs for starships because you have no peripheral vision whatsoever in that thing. If somebody comes at you at a 95 or even like a 60-degree angle, they're completely covered by your own wings.
Yeah, well...
Which is usually why I see them being flown as a squad.
You know, it's a personal standpoint. It's not something I would prefer to fly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're supposed to be, like, wicked fast, extremely armored, shields optional, but a lot of fire.
Armored?
Yeah, no, that's how they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be armored. That's how they can take some glancing shots and so forth, because they don't always have shields. Okay, it's just looking at the design, they seem about as armored as the Solar Sailors in Tron.
Dude,
I know what you mean. I'm saying how they're supposed to be. Whether or not the movies support evidence to that fact.
Just don't wipe your ass with the wings; they might crack.
But I mean, that's the thing too. It's like this is a galaxy feared force, but apparently none of them can fucking shoot straight. It's like, what the hell?
Of course, it's a galaxy feared force. That's because none of them can see what they're shooting at. That's probably the one crime from this new universe that Disney has built in Star Wars. Yes, they have solidified the timeline. There's an actual definitive timeline of events in Star Wars, but I have yet to see them bring back Tag and Bink. I'm a little disappointed there.
Mm.
It has been announced that the creator of Death Note is launching a new school manga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the creator of Death Note is actually, he's created a new series called School of Judgment, Gyaku Hote. Comes out on February 2nd. It was created by Nobuaki Inoki and Takeshi Obata, the artists who achieved international acclaim for the hit series Death Note, Bakuman, and All You Need Is Kill. It's going to debut under the Shonen Jump imprint, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $9.99. It's also going to launch digitally.
I really enjoyed Bakuman, and I never ended up reading All You Need Is Kill. I need to go back and read that.
I saw, after watching Edge of Tomorrow, I need to read All You Need Is Kill. It's actually being released digitally as well on February 2nd. So you can get it on things like iBooks, Comixology, Google Play Stores, Nook, Kobo, Kindle, all that stuff.
Nice.
And new volumes will be published 3 times a year. That's kind of aggressive, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, if it's going to be a weekly series and he doesn't take too many breaks, I don't know.
Well, the storyline, as it's put here, is that School of Judgment, Gyaku Hote, is set at Tenbin Elementary, where there's only one way to settle a dispute, in a court of law. All quarrels bypass the teachers and are settled by some of the best lawyers in the country, who also happen to be elementary school students. In the opening volume...
That sounds amusing.
To
me,
no.
I could probably actually read that.
It might be hilarious, I'll be honest. It might be hilarious, but I'm just...
Wait, in the opening volume of the series, the accused this time is a boy named Tento. His crime? The murder of a beloved member of the classroom. Luckily for him, the state has sent him a defense attorney, Abaku Inugami. Is this wild young lawyer skilled enough to get his client off the hook? Unquote.
What do you do? Murder the class pet?
That's what he's being accused of.
It said a beloved classmate. It didn't get more specific as to what exactly he supposedly murdered.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the class pet or something like that.
Yeah. Well, last up in general comic news I have is that IDW's G.I. Joe issue 227 is coming out. And they have a variant cover by Carlos Ruiz. And I want this as a print. I want this as a painting. And I want this in my living room. IDW is doing a lot of variants in April based on famous works of art. And for this one, issue 227 is Cobra Commander in the same pose as Napoleon crossing the Alps by Jacques-Louis David. I want this picture. That is awesome. Cobra Commander on a white horse trying to rally the troops across the Alps.
Are you sure he's rallying troops across the Alps or retreating?
Well, there's no laser fire, so he's rallying. Once there's laser fire, then he retreats. Dude, I like this cover. That's nice.
Why do I feel this is so apt? Because it's making...
Because it's one cutie mark away from Cobra Commander riding a My Little Pony?
No, I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about how French are known as... I was thinking how French have always abstained from fighting, so he's running away. And is making fun of one of the most notable figures from France, and that's Napoleon.
I love the imagery. I would be so behind this as a print.
Plus, I can totally see Cobra Commander being crazy enough trying to go across the Alps.
Yeah.
He tried to charge the Maginot Line.
No one will ever think of it. They'll catch them completely by surprise.
Doesn't it say Bonaparte at the bottom of that? It does.
All right, last up we have our WTF corner. Those stories from across the internet that just make you ask, the blue hell, dude. And being the WTF corner, we have video game videos, both incredible plays and utter failures of, if not gameplay, then physics in general. And to start off the WTF this week, I have an oldie but goodie. We're back to Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh God, no.
There was a user from the channel. Black Spot who calls this video "Best Takedown." I watched the video. I have never seen a takedown like this. We've seen Batman fly from across the sky and punch people through the ground. We've seen Batman drown them in the Arkham River. Or in the Gotham River, excuse me. But this one takes it to a whole different level, man. I sent the video. There's Batman on the street. Virus gone. You see him just olay that guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, he called the Batmobile. And he takes that guy down, punches him on the ground, and Batmobile runs him over.
And he jumps in.
Yeah. That's putting a pin. He just put a pin in that conversation right there. We're going to have this one later. Next video I have is from Grand Theft Auto 5. The user on YouTube is called Philippe Crifo. Crifo. Philippe Crifo. He sounds like a villain in Street Fighter. I am Philippe Crifo.
Maybe at least a fighting character.
Well, this one, it's an interesting video because some NPCs in the game kind of reenact a scene from a Steve Martin movie.
Oh.
I know. Well, let me put it this way. The title of this video of Grand Theft Auto 5, he calls it Dumb Cops. I sent the video. See cops opening fire, trying to shoot that guy, and there's just a 6-pack of soda in his way. And there's 4 of them shooting like crazy. I think 5 actually. Constantly reloading, and they can't shoot the guy.
I'm getting the Police Academy vibe here.
This reminds me of that scene from the Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. That guy really hates these cans! There's very few ways to just say anything other than, that's stupid.
That's a physics fail right there.
Yep.
It seems more like a tracking fail, but yeah, that's definitely a point where you just say, no. But now you know where to hide if the cops are ever after you in GTA 5. Just hide behind a 6-pack. Next video is from user Charles Johnson on YouTube. It's a Halo 5 Guardians video.
Ooh.
He calls it, "Oh baby, a triple."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I sent the video. There you see Charles Johnson.
Ghost.
Yep, he's on a ghost. He's zooming around. Can't see what's going on. Getting shot at quite a bit, so he runs away. He boosts it. Still can't figure out where they're shooting from. They just won't leave him alone, so he guns it again. He's riding through the valley here, and oops, ran over 3. 2 enemies ran right next to their buddy just as he made contact, and he took out all 3.
Oh, man.
Gotta clean the bugs off the windshield there.
That's the moment where you're yelling in complete victory, even though you have no idea what just happened.
Win for him, fail for them.
Pretty much. Next video is from the channel of Jonathan Cooper. It's an interesting one because it's a Star Wars Battlefront video, although it's slightly mistitled. I had to watch it a couple times to make sure I knew what I was looking at. This one is titled A-Wing KO. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I sent the video. There you're playing a trooper running up a hill.
And the cantina music.
Yep. Boom!
Whoa! Alright.
Did you see what just happened there? In slow-mo, a snowspeeder hits the trooper in front of him and flies away.
Yeah, not an A-Wing.
Barely even touches... Oh, look, victory dance.
He's like, I survived.
Miss me? Poor Nines, I knew him well.
Yeah, I gotta clean your shorts after that one, though.
Are you sure? With that helmet, you probably didn't even see what happened. Okay, next up. From the user of Flaming Axle Burn, which sounds like something you need hemorrhoid cream for, frankly.
Yeah.
This is a Just Cause 3 video.
Oh, these are fun.
It's called Ouchie Wawa. Believe me, I saw that as a dare. When I watched the video, boy, does this earn the title. And it doesn't involve any gunplay, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Okay. Well, I sent the video. There you are in a helicopter over a bay of some sort. And he drops out and he's parachuting towards a ship, right?
Yeah.
Drops a parachute, throws a grappler, coming in hot, and BAM! Crotch on the rail.
Ow!
I think now we can take over the ship. No, I'm fine, I swear. I've always had 3 Adam's apples. What are you talking about?
That was a legendary nut shot right there.
Every time I see something like that, I go back to one of the funniest scenes in Hot Shots Part 2 where Charlie Sheen knees a TIE fighter in the groin, and all of a sudden you see this pained look on his face, and he slowly spits 2 walnuts out of his mouth.
Yeah.
But, dude, that was the ultimate crotch shot without... You can't even question it, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well, after that, we actually have a couple of Destiny videos here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Destiny has actually come back a little bit when it comes to the video game videos, both, interesting plays you can be proud of and stuff you just really wish never happened to you.
Uh-huh.
And this one is from user Catfish Biscuit. That sounds like a horrible night at Red Lobster. But the title of his video is rather interesting because the title is How the What Has Even Happened?
Okay.
I know. I think it makes more sense once you watch the video, which I just sent. Okay,
Iron
just
Man,
spawned back
okay.
in as a hunter. Running through. Don't see anything yet.
Zone A.
Throw a grenade and just throw a knife and what the hell ever. Okay, fine. I go away. And I just killed 2 people.
Okay. I did a blind throw once.
I did a blind throw once with my trip my trip mine before and nailed somebody by accident. This guy didn't even see what he was looking at.
No, he was just
blind
chucking
throw.
stuff in a direction. I love the fact that right after the marker came up of a double down, he stopped and went, wait, what?
Yeah, there's happening or just chuck, move on. 2 kills. What?
Yeah. Well, there's another one here from another Destiny video from user Sir Duckford, SIRDUCKFERD, and I know he's a Seinfeld fan. Fortunately, Seinfeld had very little to do with this video. He titled this one, No Heavy for You. I sent the video. Okay, there you see him.
I like this map, actually. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's running toward the catapult. Watch this, though. See this? You can see the heavy marker. He's jumping for it. See all that? And super down!
Oh, yeah!
And he killed 3, 4, and there's 5. Thank you.
Wow. He got 4 of them after they picked us. Yeah. Oh, man.
That's one of those moments where just everything works together for you. And this one is actually a monumentous play video from user Ted the Trout. It's another Destiny video that involves a hunter in Night Stalker form and the last word hand cannon.
Ooh.
I've watched this and oh boy, oh my god, I think I would have to clean my shorts after this. The positive way, my pants would be sticky. He calls this video "Stick Together and You Might Just Regret This."
Oh, okay.
I sent the video. There you see him running in. Okay?
Mhm.
You know something's in
Hammer
there, so he
time.
fires a Night Stalker. Boom! And then he jumps back up. And then this goes into slow-mo. Watch this. First one, 2 shots, killed him. Killed 2 with 2 shots. Killed 3. Killed 4. Killed 5.
Oh, damn.
And he reloads.
Damn.
And after something like that, the other team is saying, okay, we quit.
Damn.
What else can you really say, man? He won. I don't know where the rest of his team was because it didn't matter. He didn't need them.
They were distractions. They were all over
Yeah, they
there
were on the
shooting
other
the
side.
other way.
And last up, when it comes to video game videos, this one comes from Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. And it's one where you have to pay attention. This came from the channel of user Horizon Icky, HORIZONIKI. And he titled this one, "Holy crap, them clones everywhere."
Oh.
I sent the video. There he is sneaking in what looks like an airfield. You see that guy he's coming up on?
Yep.
One guy. Takes a shot at him, and there's 2 of them! Now, that would be a pants crapper. You just see one guy stalking around by himself holding his rifle. It's like, I got this. Then you take a good look at the thermal signature and realize, oh my god, there's 2 of them close together.
Then you realize, holy crap, it's Jamie Madrox.
Mutants go home! Mutants go home! Okay, further on in our WTF corner. I don't know if you guys heard, but the Deadpool film coming out by Fox on, I think it's February 12th. The Motion Picture Association of America has declared it an R-rated movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, as a comic book reader, that's just what you want from a Deadpool film. It's right in the butter zone of the character. There is a former writer for Marvel and Boom Studios named Grace Randolph who launched a petition after she heard about the R rating because she would like there to be a PG-13 version of this film.
I just don't see how it's possible. I mean, I guess if you edited it enough, but at that point, is it worth watching?
I don't know. She said it was a response to one of her fans and readers who said that they were really disappointed that this movie was R-rated because she'd like to be able to take her 8-year-old to watch the film. To which I would say, one, obviously you've never read the Deadpool comics.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're letting your 8-year-old read the Deadpool comics, go take him to the movie because you obviously don't care anyway.
Well, they also remarked that this is a superhero movie, which should be good for all families. And I don't know. Deadpool is not a superhero. Even when he's doing good things, he's not a superhero. You know, he's more like the psychotic you've managed to leash just enough at the moment. And then they also cited the fact that there are red band and green band trailers for the movie, which isn't really a viable argument because the green band trailers are the ones that you can show to all audiences. The red band trailers are the ones that you can't show to all audiences. That's why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's an argument to be had that, you know, movie studios should have enough money to be able to release 2 versions of the movie into theaters. However, I would argue that when you do stuff like that, you're splitting your audience. And you're not really going to get a clean review of the movie in that case, because there's going to be some that saw the R-rated movie and some that saw the PG-13 movie, and then their opinions are just going to clash.
Well, and not to mention the fact that, you know, why are they, you know, giving it an R rating? Is there really a way to edit this movie so that it's PG-13?
I don't know. I mean,
last feasible? I mean, they originally started out saying, yes, we're going to try and make a PG-13 movie. And then finally they just said, okay, we've heard enough people. We're just going to make the R movie. They're not going to make 2 movies.
Yeah.
You know, so
I just don't see this as a viable argument. You know, they put up a petition on change.org. It needs 2,500 signatures. Currently has 2,117. So obviously there's not a huge segment that thinks this needs to be done, even in the internet. And, you know, to me, sometimes there are movies that can only be told in a certain format. Do you remember the era of TV when they used to play risque movies and instead of inserting words, they would just like blank them out or bleep them?
Right.
Yeah.
I remember the joke in high school when they came out with the Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans movie, The Last Boy Scout. Oh. We used to joke in high school that if this movie ever came to TV, it would be a silent movie.
Right.
You know, there are some movies that just don't belong on certain mediums, and I think Deadpool is one of those that belongs in movie theaters. It belongs on internet streams. Doesn't belong on Cartoon Network. I don't think you'll ever find this on Nickelodeon in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the language, it's the violence. We're talking about a character who we've already seen from trailers, shoots 3 guys through the head with 1 bullet, lops off another guy's head, and then kicks it into the face of another. This wouldn't just be a
Mounts
silent
another
film.
head on
It
a
would be a
sword and
blank
starts
film.
using it as a sock puppet. You know, it's like this
You
is
put this
not
on
imagery that.
You put this on TV, not only will it be a silent movie, it would be full of a bunch of like black screens with white text, and then he stabs somebody, and then he says foul expletives, and then he tries to rub himself like he wants to have sex with something. You know, this would not work.
I basically said when they were originally planning to have the PG-13, rating and whatnot, and the only way I could actually see a PG-13 Deadpool and keep it true to the character is to use censor bars and then have him run with those censor bars. Like
interact with
just
it.
fourth wall it and whatnot. That I think would be an amusing, acceptable way to do it. But even then, you're going to have to tone down his dialogue.
Absolutely. Although I love the fact that you use acceptable and amusing, because the next story to me was a bit of both.
Okay.
You guys are familiar with the strange militia crew in Oregon who took over a bird watching sanctuary cabin?
Right.
Vaguely.
I don't remember the exact details of what they took over. They basically took over non-important public land in an attempt to protest something else, although I think they really don't have a clue, because a couple days after they took this over, they went on social media to start begging for snacks. Apparently they remember the rifles but forgot the power bars, which tells me they're not very good survivalists, obviously.
Obviously.
So they went to the internet and asked people to send them snacks, and one of their organizers, John Ritzheimer, has been receiving a bunch of packages, and he is pissed.
Oh, I think I heard about this.
He's been getting packages from around the country for his militia crew. Again, they asked for snacks. He's been receiving dildos. Not only is he receiving dildos, he received something that we talked about a year ago. He received a bag that had a bunch of gummy candies in them shaped like something else with a note that said, eat a bag of dicks. So this guy decided the way to approach it was via video online, where he said, quote, people spending money to send items representing their hate, that could have been spent on good things, on those in need or something. Billy Gober posted a genius idea, sell it back on eBay, so keep sending stupid shit. It's going to turn a dime for them. LOL economics, unquote. Something tells me that selling dildos on eBay I don't think is going to do you too well.
I got a box full of dildos.
Yeah. Where'd they come from?
Want to buy them?
I'm going to mail them from my survivalist ranch in Oregon. What'd you do, carve it out of wood?
What are you doing with this many dildos at a survivalist ranch?
Dude, it's
what
funny.
What are you doing there?
He had a table full of this nonsense, and towards the end of the video, he decided to get dramatic and just swept his hand across and knocked it all on the floor like it's some kind of 50s office movie or something. Oh, dude. I mean, seriously, even if you could sell that stuff on eBay, I guarantee you that nobody's going to want to buy too many secondhand dildos on eBay, dude. Now, I try not to get too political, because politics is one of those weird things that can divide a conversation really quickly. However, there is one story that came up involving the Republican Party's angriest orange, Donald Trump. And this one kind of took me aback, not because it has anything to do with politics necessarily. He tried, but it has to do with another subject that's very dear to me, and it's dumb. American football. I'm a fan of American football. Love American football. Played American football. I think it's a great sport. As you know, the past week there was a wild card game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals, which ended in kind of dramatic fashion.
Yeah.
It came to a close end, and because of a couple of bad penalties, Cincinnati kind of screwed itself out of its own wild card seat, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a play where Giovanni Bernard was apparently knocked unconscious by a hit to the head. Antonio Brown had the same. Antonio Brown had the same thing happen to him, and he just got ruled out for this week's game. But where this goes back to Donald Trump is that he decided to make football an allegory for his run on the presidency. He said, quote, football has become soft like our country has become soft. We're going soft just like the NFL. We're going soft, unquote.
Have you played football?
That was the thing, was a lot of people who heard that just said, obviously this is a guy who's never played the game.
I played,
football on my lawn, and I got clothesline once, and that took the wind out of me. It's like, this is a rough sport, and I did it without padding.
Yeah, he went on to say, quote, "You used to see these tackles, and it was incredible to watch. Now tackle, head-on tackle, 15-yard penalty," unquote. I'm going to assume he's never been hit in the head by something.
Yeah.
Because I've worn those helmets, and yes, they do offer you a level of protection, but they really don't offer you protection from... They offer you protection from the blunt trauma, but not the actual impact itself. Just because you're not getting bruised doesn't mean your head isn't getting whipped around in this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I find this to be... This is just a stupid statement, not even on politics, just of a guy who's talking out his ass on something he doesn't understand in the least. You know, I played it with the full pads. I played with that 40 pounds of Lexan plastic and foam on me. And yes, you can hit people hard, but I'm going to say something that probably won't be the most popular thing for me to say. Football, although it has a lot of impact in it, it's not a game of impact. It's a game of strategy.
Yeah,
I think that's been...
It's exciting for the viewers to see these high impact, so on and so forth. But winning the game, which is the ultimate goal, does require a huge amount of production work and everything else. There's a reason why there's all those guys over on the sideline.
Well, not just that, though. I mean, even when it comes down to one-on-one struggles, even when this guy's trying to push through the line to get to the quarterback, I doubt Trump even understands how those hand moves aren't just people slapping each other. They're trying different moves to get past the thing in front of them.
Right.
It's difficult. Yes.
Legally, without causing a foul.
Well, obviously they don't punch each other or suddenly pull a got and start firing or anything weird like that.
Well, I mean, just within the rules of the game, too, because there are restrictions and everything that make it more difficult.
It is a strategic game, and I really despise the fact that this douche nozzle is talking about something he's obviously never strapped up and played for. He's probably never even played a backyard game. Because there's no way that comb over would hold up under even a friendly tackle game among family members. So that drew my ire a bit. It's another reason why I'm not going to vote for him, because I don't think he understands policies very well. I don't think he understands government very well. Man doesn't even understand football and is televised every frickin' fall. So, ugh. Sorry. I didn't mean to go off on the side there. It just that bothered the hell out of me.
No, that was worthy. That was worthy of WTF.
Okay. This was a series WTF, and it involves another large animal that doesn't understand things. However, this one was a bison.
Okay.
You ever been to the Neil Smith Wildlife Reserve? Or Wildlife Refuge? Man, there was a bison out in this refuge that had a bad day. Take a look at this picture. And I mean, he had a bad day. You can see a wicked wound he's got in his upper shoulder there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, it took hair with it. But there's a reason why that wound marks this bison as probably the luckiest creature in the world rather than the unluckiest. And that thing, just looking at it, frickin' hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this bison looks like that was struck by lightning.
Ooh.
Damn.
Back in 2013, Karen Viste Sparkman saw this bison standing there with a huge bloody burn on his shoulder, and they did some investigation. They found out that he had been hit by lightning in a previous storm.
Wow.
Sparky was 9 years old when he was hit, and he fathered 3 calves. That is the name of this bison now, Sparky.
Of course.
So everyone's curious to see if he'll go to a bison's natural lifespan of 20 to 25 years. But at the same time, all I can say is if this guy was struck by lightning and lived, stay the hell out of his way. Because, this is usually where things start flying. He could shoot lasers out of his eyes and you're just dead,
I don't know. I mean, the picture doesn't show him moving. He could be leaving streaks behind him or something.
You know what?
Red and gold suit or something.
Red and gold, that's perfect. As tough as he is, we can rename the Washington Redskins the Washington Bison and be done with it.
The Sparkies.
Now being sued by the Chargers. God, there was an interesting product demonstration last week. There's a company that made stab-proof vests. Yeah, I think it's a Russian company because there was the vice president of the company that made him. His name was Yaniv Montakio. He had a press conference to show off his stab-proof vest, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he took one of the reporters and put the vest on him. And then Montakio pulled out a large commando knife, and he hit the guy in the back. You know, the reporter was a guy named Lockover. E-Time Lockover. And he said, you're going to stab me with this? And Montakio told him, you have nothing to worry about. We're very confident in the product. So he stabbed him
Then why
in the
aren't you
back.
wearing it?
It was wild. He stabbed him in the back, and the guy was unhurt. So Montakio said, look, nothing happens. Hit him a second time. He was fine. Stabbed him a third time, and Montakio shouted, missed!
Oops. Didn't hit the vest.
No, it went between the padding and plates in the vest.
Oh.
Thankfully, Lockover only had superficial stab wounds, needed a few stitches, and he was back home.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
sure
they're
that
paying for his medical.
I don't know about that, but I'm very sure they went back to the drawing board. You know, next time there's a press conference like that, I'm sure they'll just say, "No, you try it on."
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was. I was like, dude, we're very confident in our product. Then why aren't you wearing it?
It's okay. Russia had kind of an odd week lately because I take it you heard about Google and the bug about translation in Russian.
No.
A Ukrainian media company noticed that there was a glitch in Google Translate.
Mm-hmm.
When you typed in Russian Federation in Russian and hit Google Translate, the word that popped back was Mordor. It kind of fit a theme as what was going on, because if you typed in Russians and hit translate, it came back as occupiers.
Wow.
You type in the last name of Russian's foreign minister, Lavrov, and it came back as sad little horse. Google released a statement saying that all this happened automatically, suggesting that either whatever code Google Translate works on has a weird sense of humor, or it picks up synonyms from metaphors and similes used online, and then just pairs those words up and says, okay, that's what that means.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being the person that's using Google Maps and just says, okay, need to get to Russia. Cross the glade across Minas Tirith, climb the mountain of fire, and drop yourself into the mountain. What the hell is this?
Alice in Wonderland on meth.
Kind of funny you bring that up, because the last story I've got is an interesting one from the Toronto Sun, believe it or not. It's an older story from 2012, but it kind of bears repeating because I've never heard of this happening before. There was a group of tourists who spent hours on a Saturday night in 2012 looking for a missing woman from their party near Iceland's Idisja Canyon. You know, they spent hours looking for her and couldn't find her, right?
Okay.
So they regathered the search party, and they were getting ready to redeploy when they realized that one member of the search party was the damn woman they're looking for.
What?
One of the women on the bus went to... one of the women on the bus, the one that was claimed to be missing, apparently early on in the trip, she had left the bus to change her clothes and freshen up, and when she came back, the other people on the bus in the tour group didn't recognize her, so they presumed she was missing. So they formed search parties to go find her, not realizing that the person they're looking for is already there. I kind of like the statement from the local authorities. The search was called off at about 3 a.m. when it, quote, became clear that the missing woman was in fact accounted for and searching for herself.
Hate to write that report.
Worst field trip ever. The story of the week is Invincible Iron Man 1 through 4. This is the post-Secret War story of what Tony Stark is doing since the Marvel Universe has been restored. And I don't know, I think it left Iron Man in a pretty interesting place overall.
I liked it.
You know, I was, let me see, the initial writer is Brian Michael Bendis, the guy who's credited with recreating the Avengers. David Marquez is the artist, Justin Powers the colorist, cover artist David Mahuz and Justin Ponsor. You know, we've seen Iron Man lose money before. That's not really new in Marvel Comics. It's just kind of interesting to see him purposefully downscaling his company so he can kind of draw things back a little more.
Mm.
You know, I'm guessing this was either just before or just after he... Actually, it would have to be before he reformed the Avengers because he just built his armor. And he's just trying to kind of find his place in the world now that, you know, one of his best creation friends, Reed Richards, is not in it. And I just got the feeling that he's trying to scale back his life and just make things a little more even. He's not trying to be a jet setter anymore, you know?
Right.
I mean, what was your...
That.
I'm sorry?
That's not what I got out of that.
What did you get out of it?
You know, with the way he was explaining that initial monologue at the beginning, it sounded like, well, I might be wording it differently, saying the same damn thing, but it seems like he's just trying to find himself again because a kid broke his pride.
Well, it wasn't because a kid broke his pride. He had often promised himself that he would spend a certain amount of time in his lab, but he got so busy saving the world, he never really spent time in his lab.
Right,
and if he did, it was just to fix one or two problems, and then he's right back out of it. He made a promise to himself to spend more time creating, which is how he came up with his brand new armor that has the strongest features of several of his previous armors. You know, one of the major shifts now is that he's no longer using a Jarvis AI, or he doesn't seem to have Jarvis the Butler. He now has this new AI he's created called Friday, which is basically the bitchiest secretary I've ever seen in my life.
I like her. so much.
Yeah, me too. And the thing is, he can't bitch about because he made it.
Oh, no, that doesn't stop him from bitching.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't stop for bitching, but...
He constantly complains about it. I mean, I think that one of the biggest telling is that he just finished his brand new armor. He says, I'm going to take this out. And then the voice comes from the side. No, you're not. Friday, how long have you been sitting there but not really sitting there? The entire time. No, I didn't create your hollow AI to creep me out. No, you created me to be a little pal who helps you keep your head screwed on straight. You can't go out now.
Yes, I can. I've got free will and everything. Nope.
Nope. You got a date.
Actually, I liked her response to the date. You know, yes, you'll be late soon. Don't be late. Women do not find it cute. Oh, like you know. No woman on planet Earth has ever found it charming. They call it strike one. And that was kind of a different aspect of this story, is that Tony Stark is actually trying to date a woman, like seriously.
Right.
You know, his history has been a long stream of pump and dumps, for lack of a better term, which includes, you know, rather famous characters like Pepper Potts and the She-Hulk and several other notable women in the Marvel Universe. He's actually trying to date a biologist, I think.
Yeah.
A biophysicist, okay.
Something.
Dr. Amara Pera. But early on in the issue, they also really do a good job of reestablishing Madame Mask as a pretty big force in his life.
Yeah, which is a character I was unfamiliar with, but, you know, obviously they had a history, so...
I want to say her name is Whitney Cummings?
Whitney...
Frost, okay.
Yeah.
She was an industrialist daughter. She's been scarred before, which is the reason for that mask. She hides her visage underneath it. Although, depending on the story, sometimes it's a clone, like pretending to be a quasi-superhero. Sometimes it's her and her face is fine, but she's just that vain. Other times it's just weirdness, you know what I mean? She's definitely a little bit psychotic. Yeah. And I say little bit as a very broad term. But I do like the
about
panels.
Removing his skin so that she could take off his smirk and then eating it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, again, Madame Mask has usually ended up in, at best, B-list as far as villains. And in this story, they really did elevate her quite a bit to a serious threat.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone, she kept taking on villains groups and stealing all these items across the first issue, which made her seem even more dangerous because she's doing this by herself.
By herself.
Yeah.
And one of the victims was Doom.
Dr. Doom. Like,
yes.
You don't mess with Dr. Doom.
Yeah, but later on the first issue, I did like it when he's trying to impress his date.
Yes. Yeah. And the female Thor.
Yeah, are you trying to impress me? Are you trying to impress me? If I was trying to impress you, Doctor, I'd have Thor accidentally stop Phi. Pretty funny, but I'm sure I would leave if you did that. Really? You don't have to try. And then he looks up at female Thor in the background, just gives like the cut symbol and tells her fly away.
Go.
The series had an impeccable sense of humor, I think.
Yes. They have set a very good tone for the humor.
I was kind of amazed, though. It's a very good, serious superhero tale with all these weird little moments kind of interspersed in the middle.
Dude, the high five with Doctor Strange.
Yes!
Awesome facial hair bros.
I hate you. But it never really occurred to me before that, yes, they have the same facial hair.
Yeah, pretty much. Have you read the 5th issue? It came out like a week ago.
No, I need to. Goodness
It was kind of great because
at
the 5th issue is the end of that story, and Doctor Strange is there at the resolution, and he's stepping into a portal, and just as it ends, Tony Stark is still trying to figure out what in the hell is going on. He looks kind of dejected, and Strange just says, "Stark, huh?" Awesome facial hair bros rule. Then the portal closes, and Stark just kind of looks at it bewildered and says, "That was totally worth it." So, yeah, was it middle of the first issue is when he gets word that Whitney Frost is stealing all these items. He takes his new armor. He goes to confront her in Latveria, of all things. Mm-hmm. She's not there. A bunch of pissed off locals in Dr. Doom's castle looking like basically it was used for a Kardashian party.
Or, mortar strikes or something.
Yeah. And then there to greet them is a man in a gray and green suit. Not a suit of armor, a suit.
A suit. Power suit.
Yeah.
Not
a power suit, just a very nice sharkskin suit. And it turns out it is Victor Von Doom, who is not only healed in the face, but he's smiling, which makes it frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you spend almost 2 issues trying to figure out what's going on with him.
I know. I mean, the story that he's healed is a major one in itself. Dr. Doom very rarely has a face that can be seen on comic book pages. But the fact that he seems so amused that Tony Stark is there and he's non-threatening throughout the issue, which makes Doom even more frightening because he's never non-threatening. So
yeah,
that
just
immediately makes you think he's up to something.
For that. It's like, when is it coming? You know it's coming.
I think Doom is amused because he's viewing people's reactions to a different side of him, and that's just amusing him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's able to take that step back now. Well, because, or at least with the way he's depicted right now, it's like, yes, I know that I'm an evil rat bastard, or at least I've been that way. I know how everyone reacts to me. I don't plan on reacting that way right now, but I'm going to enjoy the hell out of confusing people.
Well, let's start with our first real meeting in the second issue. The fact that Stark responds after he realizes it's Doom with both palms full repulsor, lets it go, and Doom with almost literally a flick of his wrist deflects the whole thing. And when he's done,
cranks it to 11.
No, when he's done, Doom just looks at him from beneath his shield and says, "Are you finished?"
Nope.
You're the Dr. Doom. Yes. I thought your face was scarred beyond anything any human could stand looking at. It was. I'm better. It's a frightening statement from somebody of his reputation.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? If you don't believe me, you and I once time traveled back to the days of King Arthur and had quite a rousing adventure. I always look back on that quite fondly. You tried to murder me and leave me there. I said I look back on it fondly. I didn't say you did. So that's when Stark shifts his armor to full Hulkbuster mode, throws a punch at the shield, and still nothing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good demonstration of what that thing can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a clear demonstration, the new Iron Man armor, as well as a demonstration that Doom, regardless of still having a face, is still Doom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
throughout the issue,
he didn't need that crazy-looking armor to be a badass.
No. And throughout the issue, it's a lot of dialogue. I heard people complaining about that, but frankly, I needed the dialogue because I needed to piece together what the frick is the end game here.
Yeah.
Because, again, this is Dr. Doom, one of the master manipulators in the Marvel Universe. You think he's got an angle.
It almost got there for me, but a lot of their... actually, Doom was actually very short and concise, where Tony Stark just kind of... puts a lot of elaboration on what he's trying to say.
Well, I think Tony Stark tried to Doctor Who Doom. But by that, I mean he tried to get him talking to the point where he would show his hand. It's like it's the old comic book cliche. The villain wants to talk about his plan, so just get him speaking.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like like I said, it almost got there for me, but it was just it hit that threshold before it became annoying for me.
I don't know. Yeah. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The whole entire time. I actually lost track of time reading it. I really enjoyed this one.
Well, it was also kind of surprising that from the dialogue, what I got was that Doom sort of, at least in some degree, remembers Battleworld and the Secret Wars, even though 99% of the Marvel Universe does not. And that he got to be what he always wanted to be. He got to be in charge. He got to be God. He got to have ultimate power. And in the end, I don't think he found it as fulfilling as he thought he would.
No, yeah.
So I'm not going to say he's a hero, but I think he's trying to figure out what his next step should be.
Well, I mean, he's lost his goal. He's lost his, not necessarily
motivation,
purpose, but, his motivation. He's looking for a new one. But he's got to still keep going.
Well, his motivation before, I don't think was rulership so much as always showing up Reed Richards, and now that's impossible. Reed Richards is not available to show up anymore. But the end of their conversation, when he just snaps his fingers and teleports him to it looks like the Central Park Zoo, with nothing more, nothing more than a simple gesture, and he gets rid of him. He hasn't lost a step, obviously.
No. Yep. In fact, he may have gained some.
Seems that way. So, and then towards the end of the issue, we see that Madame Mask got what she considers bad information because she couldn't find the object that Doom was hiding, the Wand of Watum. Mm-hmm. And that was the other major story we found out, that Tony Stark may be involved in an area he's not familiar with.
Yeah.
Doom told him, well, not just magic, but Doom told him that magic objects from other dimensions in the multiverse seem to be traipsing into the Marvel Prime Earth. So basically, copies of intensely powerful magic items are being dropped into the regular Marvel universe.
That's kind of scary, considering we might have multiple copies of some very world-ending things.
Like the Wand of Watum in the wrong person's hands.
Right, the Wand of Watum is something Stephen Strange... the Infinity Gauntlet's a cosmic item, not a magic one necessarily. But the Wand of Watum is an item that both Dr. Voodoo and Dr. Strange, or I should say Brother Voodoo and Dr. Strange, have used at different times to frightening effect. So if there's more than one of those now, and let alone you got to think about the items that, like, Doctor Strange, Clea the Sorceress, the Scarlet Witch, they're the ones that would understand this stuff. A very small minority of Marvel. So, which makes it even worse. Could you imagine if somebody else got their hands on a copy of the Eye of Agamotto?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Brother Voodoo's voodoo staff, things like that. I mean, crap. You know what I mean? But I did like towards the end of the second issue when Madame Mask took off she took off her mask and her outfit, was taking a shower, and when she comes out, Tony Stark is just sitting on her bed, staring at the mask.
Well, she gets out of the shower, reaches for the mask, realizes it's gone, checks the gun, and just hears, I took the bullets. And she's just full on in panic mode because she needs that mask. That was my first clue into the fact that, she ain't all there.
Even though the glimpses we got underneath the hair that was carefully framed around her face, it doesn't look like there's anything terribly wrong with her face right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then she reaches out, tries to strangle him, and then it turns out his armor is in stealth mode, just can't see it.
The fact that she broke 3 bones in her hand and still came at him.
Yeah, but then she used some of the magic powers
there.
Yeah, she used some of the magic powers she'd been amassing and launched a new assault on him. Which was an interesting statement and a big upgrade for a character who is barely sane to begin with.
Right.
So in the third issue, she continues her attack to the point where she fragments his armor. An interesting enough statement.
I don't think it was a fragment. I think it was a failsafe he built into it to keep him alive.
Right. The armor was going to fail, so the armor kicked him out of it so that he could pilot it remotely.
Got defensive, and he still... Basically, the armor couldn't really stand up to her initial assaults. I mean, it had to reform a couple times in that fight. And I liked how he went to to talk to his date again to try and just wrap his head around it and make sure that everything is where he thinks it is. As well as bounce off some new ideas.
As well as after the second kiss, Hail Hydra. What?
I know, he kisses her, looks meaningfully into her eyes, and just says, Hail Hydra. What? Sorry, just checking. Well, that was random. Not in my world. You know, it's interesting to see Stark actually interested in a woman beyond 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was through that interaction they had. It was explaining that he was looking for someone that could challenge him.
Well, it's not just challenge him. I think we're finally seeing Tony Stark mature. I mean, he's matured in levels over his history, but his last point of maturity was when he actually admitted he was an alcoholic and overcame that long-standing issue in his life. But he still never really had a romantic relationship that lasted in his history.
Right.
He's been interested in women for a long term, but he can never quite get over himself long enough to do it. Now he seems to be actually trying to do that. Of course, then you have the moment where he just demands Stephen Strange high-five him for awesome facial hair bros.
Just wonder how possible that is. Tony Stark.
Yeah. But I did kind of appreciate the end of the issue when he tries to ambush Madame Mask in one of her safe houses, and all she did was leave a tape that says "Play Me." And after scanning it 5 times to make sure it's not a bomb,
scan it. It is in fact a tape recorder, and if I press play, it won't blow
Where do you
up.
find one of these things anymore? I feel old after hearing that. Actually,
yeah. But I like the fact that she played it, basically explaining that she's stealing stuff, would really like him to stay out of the way, but knows he won't. So she just figured that the people looking for her would find him in the tape recorder, which was true. And it turned out to be a bunch of cyber ninjas.
Yeah, I'm wondering where these guys are going to fit into things.
It wouldn't surprise me if she stole something from the Hand, and the Hand is trying some new tricks.
Yeah, because I don't know if they're the Hand or not, but yeah, I mean, because they showed up, obviously, when she was stealing something from the Tokyo Stark Tower.
Yeah.
And
she's definitely played in someone else's sandbox, and I think this is one of those things where we're not going to get an explanation early on because it's a fun mystery.
I'm just wondering if they are going to bring in some new, group or power that has been that secretive.
Well, they kind of have to now that AIM has been reformed in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, although she did just get... that was one of the other things she got was that item from that AIM scientist.
Yeah, a former AIM scientist, because now AIM is Avengers Idea Mechanics.
Now a former person as well.
Sorry?
He's also a former person, not, alive.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, AIM now works for Sunspot in the new Avengers.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, the ninjas, I don't expect a quick answer on that. The adaptation of the armor and its ability to co-op some of the technology it grabs is an interesting touch.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Him forming his own Power Ranger armor was a little bit outside the... It made me laugh for a couple moments just on the visuals. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. I got like, whoa, like that's a cool moment for me.
I was like, okay, samurai gear to fight ninjas. All right,
it works. Put armor in appropriate places to protect the vitals.
Yeah,
looks like samurai armor.
I just like that after he fights them, some of them self-destruct, so the biological bits are no longer there. The sheriff's department shows up, and one of them just says, "Holy shit!" And all he does is say, "Exactly."
No, he's like, "You killed him." Iron Man doesn't do that. I know, so he killed him.
Yeah. You
I
killed
just
him?
love the
Dude,
fact that he's sitting there congratulating himself, for beating them, and Friday points out you're monologuing.
Yes.
I like that. Listen, I'm going to need you to fill out a full report. I'm going to need a statement and
it's already in your email, Officer Ryan.
How do you know my email? Dude. Oh, because he's Iron Man. Yeah, he can find your email. Come on, that was my first superhero thing. Oh, really? I couldn't tell.
Oh, that, yeah, I remember that. That
Cyber
particular
Ninja
location.
Beach Party.
The location where that event happened, I lived there.
Yeah.
Marina Del Rey. I lived there.
Oh, okay. I've worked there. I love he's still trying to still trying to figure all this out. He's trying to figure out if Doctor Doom is on the level. He's trying to figure out if this whole nonsense with magic items from other dimensions is true. He still needs to find where Madame Mask is and why she's amassing all these items. And then Friday stops his thought process with, "You have St. Jude's in 45 minutes. I have a doctor's appointment? The children. I'm visiting sick kids in 45 minutes. You'll have to bump it. No." There's that no again. "You told me no canceling this no matter what. Well, now I'm telling you, beep. Listen, Tony, this is Tony from 3 days ago. We're not canceling on the sick kids. You already bumped them 3 times for Avengers saving the world related emergencies, but I don't care if Whiplash, Blackout, and Paladin magically fuse into one decent criminal adversary. You are not canceling on these kids. Okay? I don't care if Thanos is marrying Pepper in Times Square and Justin Hammer is giving the bride away. You do not cancel. Okay? I don't care if the Scarlet Witch says no more Tonys. Okay?
Yeah, that last one right there. I don't care if Wanda says no more Tonys. I was like, oh wow.
I love the kids. He shows up as Tony Stark and they're disappointed. There's no armor.
Yeah.
Bendis has a great sense of humor for the character. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I just noticed your what word adjective did he use? But you're short. I'm 8 years old. Don't tell me your problems.
I like this. Oh, the armor. You guys want to see the armor? Oh man, it's not here. What? It's being cleaned. Who cleans it? The
car wash.
You're so lying. I like this kid. He reminds me of a young Hulk. And Dr. Doom visits him at the hospital.
Oh, yeah. He's just like, sick kids, man. You're so messed up.
I just like the fact that when they notice him, there he is standing in the door jamb just eating potato chips like a normal person. And all he says is, "You can finish whatever this is you're doing. I'll wait." I swear to God, I like you better when you were a masked maniacal maniac. Maniacal maniac is redundant. New rooftop now! I mean, it's so weird to see after all these years of monologues and dramatics, Doom is the guy playing the straight man.
Yeah.
And God's help me. In this form, I like Doom a lot. I think he's hilarious.
Yes.
It's like he's the guy who's standing there going, "You do realize how ridiculous this is, right?"
Yeah, he's well placed in this.
Yes. And at the end of the 4th issue, we find Mary Jane Watson trying to get away from superheroes, opening a new club in Chicago, and
where there's no New York, no supervillains and everything else, and
and she gets caught between a triumvirate standoff between this supercharged Madame Mask, Iron Man, and Doom in her new club, which just opened.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Her life is awful.
Yeah, the only thing she could say was, "Why?"
Yeah, but at least that answers the question we had for the last few months as to why Mary Jane is in his life. I read the 5th issue, like I said.
Uh-huh.
And believe it or not, it's not Madame Mask that's actually doing all this stuff. She was possessed by a demon.
Ah.
The cover to the 5th issue, I saw it in solicits, and it seemed kind of ominous because it was Dr. Doom in full armor, like pumping some weird purple beams into Iron Man's head. Mm-hmm. Long story short, what happened was Madame Mask was so out of control, Iron Man or Tony Stark sealed her in the Iron Man armor, and then Dr. Doom forcibly performed an exorcism while she was within the armor.
Huh.
Doom got rid of the demon and didn't even ask for anything in return. Which sounds altruistic, but just makes me ask a ton of new questions here.
Oh, yes.
But, and other long story short, Stark knows who Mary Jane Watson is and apologized to her profusely, but she wanted nothing to do with superheroes, so he decided to give her a job, and she said, "I told you I want nothing to do with superheroes." And he said, "No, I don't want you a job handling my Avenger stuff. I want you to help me, plan my personal life. I am a mess. I can't keep appointments. I need help." So basically, he just hired himself a new personal assistant.
Pretty much. Hopefully this works out better for her than the previous redhead.
For her?
Yes, for her.
I don't know. The previous redhead turned into a superhero. I don't think she got the short end of the shrift.
I don't know. I'm sure her personal life is a complete mess now, too.
Let's just say I hope this works out better than her marriage did.
I'm still pissed about that retcon.
Yeah, it's one of the stupidest rewrites in history. But you know what? This to me is a fantastic comic book because it involves several things that I think every comic book, especially a number one or a first arc, needs. It has a new art team which really seems to understand how to redesign characters and make them visually interesting. They pay attention to the previous history, although they're not entirely beholden to it. It's a terrific jump-on point because there's just enough exposition to get you caught up on what you might have missed. Mm-hmm. And it tries to bend characters into forms they've never been in before.
Let me say that just reading his opening monologue where he was talking about his parents and everything, I still have no clue what the hell that was about. But
yeah,
after starting to read the comic and everything, I was just like, oh, who cares? It's something that happened in the past. It's obviously not relevant.
It's not relevant, but it is interesting to know that Tony Stark is not a Stark. He's adopted.
That was... Huh? He's a what?
He's adopted.
Oh, okay. I thought you said a family name, and I was like, wait, what?
No, I mean, Arno Stark is the legitimate heir to the Stark family. I don't know where he is right now, but Tony Stark was adopted and experimented on by Howard and Martha Stark.
Huh.
You know, it's a long storyline from the previous volume where basically we found out that to save Arno's life, they made a deal with this alien robot, but to make sure that the techniques worked, first thing they did was adopted a child and tried it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, he's a little bit mentally off balance. That would be pretty heavy stuff to be dropped on you.
It's a cruel story, but playing devil's advocate, at least they didn't throw him away. They kept him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it worked.
Yeah. a car battery and an arc reactor later. Yeah, it worked just fine. But I liked this story. You know, we've got several characters in ways we've never seen them before. Doom apparently self-satisfied at the very least. Mary Jane trying out a new job in life. Tony Stark actually attempting relationships for once. I'm enjoying the direction of the series. I almost lament the idea that we haven't actually seen any other major character interaction with other heroes yet, but honestly, I don't think the first few issues needed it.
No, I think, establishing him, other than that brief little, blurb with Thor, it needs to focus on Tony Stark. It's his book, Iron Man's book. You don't need all the extra heroes and so forth.
Well, actually, I should take that back because that's right. We did have awesome facial hair bros and Doctor Strange a couple times, and
this is true.
Yeah,
but that's not quite the same.
That was played off very well.
Yeah.
It makes me want to read more Doctor Strange, frankly, because I'd like to see that show up in the other book. But
yeah, but I have a feeling that's not quite the way that one goes.
And I really, as much as I lament time jumps, I'd like to see where characters progress to. I am liking the shock value that's coming with this all new, all different Marvel universe as they touted it, which I still say is no reboot.
No,
because it does it does deal with like 99% of the prior continuity. Although the shifts they've come up with in where the characters have ended up after 8 months are really interesting. Iron Man is kind of playing it on the down low on the corporate scale, whereas Spider-Man is now taken over as the multinational superhero. A couple different Avengers squads with very different lineups. I mean, we now have X-Men in the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Inhumans. Let alone, although people don't seem to like it too much, I'm very curious about the story of Uncanny X-Men, the new group of villain X-Men, for lack of a better term. Magneto's actually trying to save mutants forcibly this time.
Interesting.
That's not the interesting part. The interesting part is the team right now consists of M, Psylocke, Sabretooth, and Archangel.
Who's M?
Monet St. Croix.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was the character I was thinking about. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But the weird part is Archangel. That was a character who was supposed to be dead and reformed. So where they found this, I really want to know.
Maybe the same... His explanation can be tied into the fact that Doom's face is in one piece now.
I doubt it. I think it's something more mundane than that. I just don't know what it is. Because remember, Doom's face is a gift from Reed Richards.
Yeah. No, I totally believe that.
No, like I said, I read Secret Wars 9. That was Reed Richards' gift. They said that often that's the thing that's overlooked in the Fantastic Four is that Mr. Fantastic often gives everybody a second chance, and he gave Doom one.
which is huge because that's just...
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty clear indicator as well of, I'm done with you. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
You need to too.
Still, though, I'm still not convinced this is altruistic Doom or nice Doom. I think he's playing some game, but I just don't know what it is. Although, I hope whatever story it is doesn't play out for a couple of years, because I'm still enjoying him haranguing Iron Man in his life.
He's kind of like a mortal Loki.
All I can say is,
you're waiting for the angle to show up, but it's at the same time, it's like, he's amusing.
Yeah.
This is me probably looking into it for Doom, and maybe he's trying to get to where Reed is at.
Nah, if he wanted that, he'd just build a machine and go there. He'd be focused and single-minded. This is something else. He either has another goal, or he honestly doesn't care.
He wants to take over what Reed was.
No. Not take over. Meet him there.
Oh.
On the same terms he got there.
I don't think so, because Doom has always been one to forge his own path to anything. He's too egotistical to copy other people's path. Even if he wants the same goal, he finds his own way to do it.
I'm saying he's copying. I'm saying he's trying to find his own way there. I mean, just don't think kind of looking into it.
Yeah, I just don't think he's interested in things on a cosmic scale anymore. He just seems to be trying to figure out what exactly he's after. He just seems to know at this point he doesn't want anybody destroying the Earth until he figures out what that is. That I believe.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I love the art in this series too. Man, it is a gorgeous book. Yeah. You know, I was surprised at how pretty it is, frankly. And the art style is really kind of unused to it. It reminds me a lot of the European comic book artists have been coming out lately.
I didn't really have anything to reference it to. I just started reading it, and I was like, I like this art.
I like the armor. I like the way it looks, actually.
I wasn't so convinced with the armor right off the bat. It was too sleek for me, but it starts going through all its modulations and everything, and I was like, okay, you know what? I don't really care. It's cool.
Yeah, I like the way it looks now. The thing is, I also like the previous look with the weird permanent frown. I did enjoy that at the time.
That's the thing that kind of threw me off, is I don't have a problem with the armor design. It's very reminiscent of like some kind of combination between the modular armor and the bleeding edge armor. Mm-hmm. But the different style of faceplate was throwing me off a lot. I am used to Iron Man sort of having a visage on that armor. You know?
The one guy, I liked it better when he had a nose. You're freaking crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really old.
The helmet actually kind of reminds me of the faceplate of a medieval suit of armor, to be honest.
Well, I mean, he is often referred to when they're talking about the Avengers classes as the Knight.
Right.
You know, that's not surprising. I just wonder if they're going to keep playing up the role of Tony Stark as a futurist in this story, because so far that hasn't played much of a role. It seems like they're more concerned with Tony Stark, the engineer, right now.
Yeah, I don't. If they do, they won't play that until way later, or unless someone tries to. If someone tries to bring it back on, say, no, I'm doing this right now.
Well, it seems like
we'll come back to that later.
Spider-Man has kind of taken over that point. He's the one that's kind of trying to look towards the future now.
Potentially, but he seems more like the wacky inventor.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I want to impart to you guys about Marvel Comics and major shifts I wasn't aware of, because this scared the piss out of me. I read All Different Avengers #3, which had the actual formation of the new crew of Avengers.
Uh-huh.
You know, Miles Morales, Kamala Khan, Tony Stark, the Vision, and them. At the end of it, there was a ship that had trouble in space, and something was flying around at a high speed and was just knocking things away from it. Then I noticed, as the dialogue was going on, whatever it was had silver armor on, right? Then it showed a panel where it had these glowing red eyes and this very wide mouth. So I already knew what the frick this is. So Ultron is back, right?
Oh.
It boards the ship, and it says it was glad it could help, and it was looking for a ride back to Earth. And then the aliens decide to ask the name of whatever had just saved them, and that's when the armor from the top of the head starts to peel downwards, and all this hair starts coming out. So my first thought is, what the frick? Is it taking on human form again? Is it turning back into Janet Van Dyne? I don't know if you remember that story, Steve.
No.
Yeah, he took a human form in a nanobody for a while.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, so that's what's happening here. And then when it rolls down the head, it said, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Hank Pym. The silver suit is my friend Ultron. We're trying to get back to Earth.
What?
Oh, fuck.
There was
that's
apparently
when you said that the hair starts coming out. I'm like, what is Hank Pym wearing it or something? And then no.
So there was a
What?
story. There was a one-shot story in a graphic novel called Rage of Ultron that came out a while ago. I kind of dismissed it because I didn't have the money to follow through with side stories in Marvel Comics. Apparently, at the end of that, Hank Pym and Ultron came to some kind of understanding and merged to a degree, and then they were lost. Apparently, they're on their way back, and I'm still trying to figure out if this is a positive or not.
I don't know.
I don't have an answer. I read that and I nearly I nearly had to go to the bathroom and drop a deuce just so I could go back and read that because that really freaked me the hell out.
Okay, so we got Doctor Doom playing nice guy. We got Ultron, who isn't out to wipe out humanity.
Well, we don't know that. We just know right now he's working with Hank Pym somehow.
All I know is these major villain characters are just
not being villainous at the moment.
Yes. It's frightening. What big thing are you going to do next to, what's the payoff going to be for all this?
I don't know. Thanos is still doing what Thanos do.
Yeah,
there's still stuff out there that needs solving. It's just,
definitely.
it's
not
the
mention,
usual stuff.
Then we have Galactus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Galactus.
The life bringer.
And so forth. Yeah, no. But they're interesting changes.
Yeah. Some of them are not going to be permanent. Some of them are going to be transient until they tell whichever story. But still, I think they're really good places to start reading because they're doing a good job of reintroducing the Marvel Universe en masse.
Yeah.
There are so many different places where you can
learn.
learn. Right. You can actually learn about these characters as you go within a few issues. I think it's brilliant storytelling. But as far as Invincible Iron Man goes, there are so many people I would give this to. It's great for all ages. It's a great jump-on point. It's
Even
a terrific
if you've
looking
only seen
book.
the movies, it's not really different in tone from that either. So
No, and actually the villain is perfect as an introduction too, because even if you don't know Madame Mask, Agent Carter is coming out soon, where Madame Mask is the villain in the show.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
She's one of the central villains in the latest season of Agent Carter.
Okay.
So I think it's a well-placed book. Let alone Mary Jane Watson comes into it, and you know that pretty soon Spider-Man's getting another movie.
Yeah, I had forgotten that she was going to be in there, and I saw, the little anti-spider sign and whatnot, but when I first saw the drawing, I was like, wait, that's pretty young for Pepper.
All right, I think we've yammered on enough, though. We're coming close to 3 hours here.
Okay.
Next week, I'm going to try and bring someone else into the show because she says she can fill in for a while V does her thing. I do think next week, though, I want to get a little meta because I've had a couple conversations recently about the nature of fandom and convention. So I'd like to have a conversation about what we all think is good and bad behavior at conventions, the nature of fandom. And then I thought it'd be a fun project to try and come up with the 10 commandments of conventions and 10 commandments of cosplay.
Okay. I could probably do the conventions. Cosplay, I'm not as big into, but
you don't have to be into it to help come up with some guideline rules that would help people when it comes to interacting with cosplayers, because we all notice that.
Yeah, no. So we're going to group brainstorm and try to come up with these, or we need to come up with our own. And
no, we're gonna group brainstorm. We're gonna have a conversation and see if we can help people come up with good guidelines for not just dealing with people at conventions, but dealing with cosplayers, because arguably it can be very different depending on what you do.
Yep.
So also next week we're going to work out what roles we're playing in the Critical Hit, because I think while we're at ALA, the four of us who are talking about doing the show will all be in one place. It may be time to record a couple issues of Deadpool and just have some fun with it.
Oh.
Yes. All right. So I look forward to talking next week, where we talk about convention habits and cosplay, and we come up with some commandments and some decorum rules. So thank you very much. I invite you to roll with us again next week. Have a great one. Enjoy the Iron Man. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Don't jerk and drive. Enjoy.
It's kind of counterproductive to say don't jerk and drive and then enjoy.
You can still not jerk and drive and still enjoy it. You can do it at home. You can do it on your computer. You can do it while listening to the show.